A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, plus they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Hello.
Welcome all to Open Bar number 91.
91.
Yeah, it's funny. Like every time we do that, it's like I feel like I should say something kind of significant.
90. What is significant?
Like, I mean, 91's when the Soviet Union ended. Let's go with that. Okay.
What do they say with the lottery stuff when they read out 91? What do they? What's the funny thing they say? Do they do that with the like little bowls? You know, they say
like lots of fun 91 or something.
There you go. This is the fun episode.
every other open bar has been dead serious.
Yes.
It's funny when I hit go live, right? I was just sat there for a few seconds, like, so the intro will start. And then I realized, like, oh, damn, I have to click it and make it happen. Like, how have I forgotten how to YouTube?
Well, I'm glad that we've made it this far. We made it to 91. That's a special one. 91, lots of fun, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's the fun time. Hold on, actually, in honor of like the Soviet Union thing, I've got a hat here that I could put on for this. There you go.
Ooh.
Greetings, comrades. They are
beautiful.
It feels excellent. I feel powerful wearing this. Anyway, we should start. We should bring in some of our guests.
Yes.
So, welcome back, one and all, to Nerdrotic.
Oh,
Welcome,
I should be
Gary.
on camera for this. Hey, whoa. I wasn't expecting to be on with a commie.
Yeah. I've been keeping it secret all these years, Gary.
Man, dude, Fallout really got to you, didn't it?
This all came about, right? I was in Berlin, right? And they sell all these stupid like bits of like memorabilia from when the place was like under Soviet occupation. And I bought this, and I've been waiting all this time for a chance to wear it, and it's never really come up because, you know, it's not often that we talk about Soviet politics here on Open Bar, so it was my chance to wear it. But since it's in 91, Open Bar number 91, it's the downfall of the Soviet Union, so now I can take it off, and yeah.
91 was also the year I went to prison.
Excellent. I bet that was fun, too.
It was so much fun. So much fun.
Well, anyway, we're glad you're free.
Soviet Union.
That feels weird. That means I was being bored while you were in prison. There's got to be some meaning there.
Probably. I'm definitely not your dad. So,
is there a possible connection there? Yeah, 91. What would I have been? 7? Yeah, 7 years old.
7. Ugh.
Yeah. So I was just in primary school then.
I just turned 22 in 91. So.
Damn. Well, you look younger than me, Gary, so that's the advantage.
No, I don't,
there.
but thank you.
Yeah.
Stop it. Let's get the show on the road. Enough of
All
that.
right. Let's go and down with this sort of thing. Okay. Next up is one of my mods who is gracious enough to join us every once in a while on Open Bar. It's Lance from the Outcasts Creative. Great to have you on again, my friend.
Let me put my camera on.
There you go.
There we go.
Yes. All right, cool. There you are.
I too have a hat, and it's kind of has a 1 and a 9 on it, so 91, but it's
199.
The 199. I brought that back all the way from Orlando for you.
You did, to add to my Mungus baseball cap collection. I think I've got about 200 now.
That is appropriate, actually, because I am on 199K.
I know, right?
For, subscribers. So
if we hit 2 mil on the stream, I'll put it on for the rest of the.
We've got about 7,000 to go, so it's going to have to go some. But who knows?
I believe in you, chat. Let's do this. Come on.
If somehow you're here watching one of my live streams, you're not subscribed, okay, give it a go. I'd be very surprised, but
I combed my hair especially for the stream, so I don't want to wear a hat as like I normally do because I actually comb my hair today. So
it looks beautiful.
Thank you, man. Thanks. But
good
to see Gary and MauLer again as well.
Hey, it's great to see you.
You too.
And last up, we have got the man who's always angry, and he's Liverpudlian, so I can understand why. He is Reaper. It's great to have you back, man.
Hi.
Hi.
Beautiful.
I enjoyed your video on Damsel. I thought that was some good stuff, man.
Oh, it's easy. Terrible movie. Christ, I can't go watch it.
Oh, save me from going then. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't waste your time. It was, but it made for good mockery, I suppose. So everyone's kind of had to go at that one.
There's going to be a lot.
Well, I'm not turning my camera on anyway.
That is fine. MauLer doesn't turn his on either, so you're all right. You're in good company. Anyway, we are assembled. We've got everyone here. So I guess the first thing I was going to talk about was Civil War. That great movie that had such hype. We all had high hopes for it, for being something kind of interesting, because it's Alex Garland, man. You know, he can make some good stuff. And he made Annihilation. Not so much.
Man.
Yeah, but what a nothing burger that movie turned out to be, man. It was just complete disappointment. I mean, it wasn't political, but it also wasn't particularly entertaining. So, yeah, I don't know really what to take from that film. It was a bit of a strange one. All I got from it was that
it got me in the cinema, because I haven't been to the cinema for quite a while, and I thought, this looks like it's got big action in it. I want to see it on the biggest, best screen possible. So I went to Leicester Square, IMAX. And I wasn't disappointed by the action, but the story and the characters, meh, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Why was the president evil?
Because
he was.
He
Again,
disbanded the FBI. I was like, he sounds good.
I know, yeah. keep going with this sort of thing. You're doing fine. I guess it's because he's a third-term president. You're not meant to do that. But then, then the explanation is really vague, because it's like, well, is he only on his third term, like, because there's a civil war going on, and it's not like we can hold elections while there's a war happening? I don't know.
He did fascism at some point. That's all we know. He's a fascist.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because presidents could just go, I'm going to do a third term, and that people let it happen here.
Didn't you do the Antifa massacre that gets referenced in this?
Yes.
A load of people get killed or something. But
Some more potential good news. Let's just point that out. But I would say
massacring them, or would they get massacred by Antifa?
That's the
question.
Again,
it's nice and vague, isn't it? So it's like everything in this movie.
It's vague about everything. Absolutely. Like, how does the country still run? How does the internet still go? How is there not like cut supply lines in a country that's just carved up? Where does New York get its power? Why aren't they attacking that? I mean, we don't need to answer any of these questions.
Even the insurrectionists wouldn't want to capture New York at this point. Right. It's just like, nah, just leave it.
Just leave.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is as well, like, the main point that the film seemed to be trying to make is that journalists are fantastic people, and we should respect them. And I thought, out of all the implausibilities in this movie, like America collapsing in civil war, Texas and California teaming up to fight the White House, the idea that journalists are fine, upstanding people that we should respect, like, that's the most hilarious thing.
Well, also that they're going to be in the unit that goes into the insertion in the White House on the front line, during the battles in the corridors. A bit unlikely, I think. That's hilarious. Come in with us. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Come in with us.
Like, literally getting in the way of the soldiers, and they're having to like dodge around this stupid bimbo who's like flashing away with her camera. Like, what the fuck is this nonsense? You wouldn't get within 10 miles of that place, especially the White House of all places. Ain't no way you're getting in there.
They should have been on TikTok. They go, "What is up, guys? I'm in the White House."
There was no video journalism. It was like still photography, and it was just weird. And if
the president's live streaming, going, "What is up? I'm under siege. What's going on?"
Like and subscribe.
I'm doing the 24-hour White House challenge. See if I can stay alive by the end.
Yeah.
Also, it's like the fact that he's hunkered down in the Oval Office. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but isn't there like a bunker in the White House that the president?
There's gotta be.
Yeah,
gotta be a big boy
I've seen
one
it. It's
too.
in the film War Games. It's definitely there. So and White House Down. It's in White House Down.
I like that description as well.
More believable films than this one, by the way. Just want to point out.
Yeah. Well, maybe he goes, "I can't go in there. That's where all the kids are." That got
Well-
serious. I wasn't expecting such a tame reaction. Oh, I might get assassinated now.
Nah. Well, one could argue like we have a third-term president now, so that could already happened.
Who knows?
You're not getting that? Well, our real president went and
Nothing.
visited your prime minister the other day, Obama. So
Okay. Sorry, we're not Americans, so we know absolutely
You don't
nothing
know.
about what you're talking about.
No.
I'll have to
yeah.
explain it. Obama is got the puppet strings on the corpse Biden. That's basically what's going on.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Fair
I
it
literally
is.
forgot who the prime minister was.
I did too. He showed up in the Clarkson's farm trailer. That's the only reason I recognized him.
I mean, it'll probably change by this time next week. Like,
Yes.
I think the most hilarious one was Liz Truss, who was prime minister for about 15 minutes. It was
Yeah,
incredible.
34 days,
Second woman.
34 days or something.
Yeah, they had the Liz Truss lettuce that outlasted her. It was just brilliant gambit on the behalf of the newspapers. But yeah, with this movie, man, it was such a strange one because it was so determined not to offend anyone and not to make any political statements one way or the other that it ended up just doing nothing. It felt like just a series of disjointed scenes, but not entertaining ones particularly. I mean, yeah, everyone references the Jesse Plemons one because that was cool because he's a really good sinister actor, but like they blew their load with that one with the trailer.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't included that in the trailer, actually. It would have had a lot more power.
To be honest, dude, I would have liked a whole film following that guy. Let's see
Just
how he
going around
rolls.
murdering people.
Well, but like,
Let's
if-
get a
if-
spin-off movie.
I was gonna say, if we're gonna be even slightly serious, like how does a man become that? You know, and what is his belief system in this whole situation? And can you do it in a way that's actually like, you know, interesting instead of just one-sided or boring?
Yeah, because I think
I was drawn to him just because he's easily the best performance in the whole film, and it's like
Yep.
the one time in the film where I was like, what? Oh, okay.
well, it felt honest. It felt very real. Like this guy is acting like a real person, you know, like a psychotic person. But you feel like he's got that rage inside him, and he's got that bloodlust almost, and he's just looking for an excuse to pull the trigger on people. And yeah, I guess it's just an example that the film was trying to make of like in the chaos of a war like this, where there's no police and there's no real oversight on anything. People are just indulging like their basest desires. Like his desire is just to go around killing anyone that he sees as non-American, and there's no one there to stop him because it's chaos. It's a civil war. And you saw the same thing at the gas station where they stopped to refuel, and they've just got guys hanging in the car wash around the corner, and they're just waiting to execute them because who's going to stop them? That's if that's the one thing I suppose that the movie gets across is just the film, or sorry, the situation that they're in just allows people to become the worst version of themselves.
Do you think they got too heavy on the violence straight away? Like you should have built up to it as you get closer to the front lines. Like stores get robbed, it should have been a bit more less like, because she immediately sees two guys hanging. That's like the first stop.
I think the violence does get more extreme in the sense that you encounter more soldiers, you encounter more organized fighting, more destruction. Like it's, although it's shocking what you see, it's just low level, like petty. You know, my neighbor fucking pissed me off, or like these guys tried to rob the store, so I'm going to kill them. Stuff like very behind the line stuff. Whereas as they get closer to the front line, that's when you start to see more uniforms, more helicopters, like more armored vehicles, and then you get to the full-on frontline confrontation in DC. Yeah.
How did you guys find the music in the film? Because you got these really very abrupt songs that come on, and there's the scene where the guys are getting executed. I mean, I kind of liked the strange juxtaposition between the song choices and what you were seeing on the screen. It made it very surreal, but at the same time, on some scenes, it kind of took me out of it. Just wondered what.
Yeah, it was really disjointed. Like when they first take off and they play Suicide, that was pretty good. Yeah, that kind of set the mood. Like, okay, we're starting our Odyssey, and we're gonna see just absolute horror. And then then they started playing like happy music. A lot more freaking jokes in it than I thought there'd be, and there's just scenarios. I think like Jeremy Johns was right. He called it, they were put into a set of scenarios, and some of the music didn't match it at all. And honestly, I didn't think we saw that much horror. I was expecting way more, and it doesn't have to be overt violence. It could just be cruelty. And I get you don't want to explain everything, but that man, he went crazy on that. Like that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. But
it got to the point where you've got these two factions fighting, but like I don't know what either one represents. I don't know which one's considered good, what they are fighting for. It's just people killing each other. And so I'm not invested in it necessarily because I don't care who wins. There's no reason to care about any of it. And that could work, I suppose, if it's just a backdrop. But the point I made when I did my review is that you need to then have a really strong central cast of characters, people that you really care about or that you're really interested in, and you're invested in their journey and their safety.
Yeah, we didn't know enough about those guys to care about. Like when the older guy got shot, if he just had one scene where he called his wife at home, maybe early on in the movie, so we knew he had some personal stakes outside of his job, I think you would have felt his, like a call to his grandkids or something, because he knew he was going somewhere dangerous. That just
I just took from that stuff. I just took that they're all monsters because they don't even try to like stop his bleeding or anything. They just carry on driving, and then they're like, "Oh, he's dead." When we get to the military base,
some pretty sparks before he died. Aren't we great? It's like a med kit. That's what everybody was saying. I was like, "Where's the med kit? You would have that."
Yeah. Or at least try.
And then the press, and I know some press gets to go freely in other countries, but like a civil war here and the press can just move freely. By the way, the press from the loyalist states, that's where they're from. They were from Reuters. So they're corporate press from the loyalist states, which if you want, by the way, you had to go online to find a map to like what the fuck is going on. So the interior states were loyalist. Northern Pacific was the New People's Army, and then there was California and Texas were independent, and then there's the Florida Alliance, which was pretty much all the southern states except for the Carolinas. And the only people fighting are California and Texas allied against the interior states. The other factions are not allied, and they don't care. They're fighting. Florida Alliance is trying to get the Carolinas, and I don't know what the hell the New People's Armies. I would like somebody to explain to me how Portland conquered the Northwest, Portland and Seattle, because the rest of the Northwest is not like Portland and Seattle. So you would have a really hard time taking on like Idaho, who would not be down with you at all. There's a lot of people, but there's also a lot of space.
There you go. There's the Antifa massacre, Gary. Like they just killed everyone in their path.
And I know there's like little groups. What they say? There's like the Portland Maoists. There's the Portland Maoists.
God, if you go on the Wikipedia page, there's actually a map of America broken up by the various different groups in the film. You can see
I had to go to that for my review because they didn't explain it in the movie. So
it was the idea as well that they thought
Gary.
They were going to drive to Washington D.C. through a war zone. Oh yeah, there we go. There's our map of the various alliances.
That's it.
So they were going to drive from New York to Washington, D.C., which isn't all that far, but like you've got to drive through a war zone to get there.
So what they did, I don't know if you caught it, they couldn't make a straight run because it's only 200 miles.
They went by Pittsburgh, didn't they?
They had to go around through Pennsylvania, and it turned into 1,000 miles. Because that's what I was like, wait a minute. They're going from New York to Washington. They said it's 987 miles. Wait, that's not right. But then I caught it later that they said there's no straight shot because apparently some of the interior states were vaporized.
Right. Okay.
Well, literally like nuclear strikes or something.
Maybe, but then you wouldn't like if a nuclear bomb went off in between New York and DC, none of that. You would not. Yeah, there'd be fallout. Everybody would be dying. So I don't know what kind of vaporized. Maybe it's just artillery or something.
Yeah, and you'd have to go some to authorize a nuclear strike on American soil against other Americans. Like that's the next level right there. But yeah, the point I was going to make there is like they don't have any kind of authorization to do this. Like it's not like the president has agreed to give an interview because that's what they intend to do. They drive to DC through a war zone, through the front lines, go and talk to the president and do an interview with him. Why on earth would he do that? I'm sure he's got bigger things to deal with, and he's not going to be interested in letting a bunch of journalists into the White House to have a chat with them.
Well,
but they just go anyway.
Well, you could do it like a Tucker Carlson kind of thing where their side are trying to stop them, and he goes, "I'll tell you what I think," but everyone on the other side goes, "No, you can't speak to him, you can't listen to him," and they could just make the journey themselves. So you
Easily.
could have like an interesting idea.
Yep.
Your own side is trying to stop you from hearing the enemy.
Totally. I could not agree. All they one little line would have fixed that, Reaper. They would have said, "Hey, we contacted the press secretary and we got an exclusive, but we got to hurry." Like that would have fixed it.
Yeah, that would have upped the stakes.
They just shoot them. They just execute them.
Well, yeah, and
Yes.
they do it on camera as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't that be considered a war crime? And like you would absolutely have to answer for that with the UN or God.
You would also make him a martyr, like overnight.
They had standing orders, they said, from command to kill him and not take him alive. There's a line about that. It's very quick in the film.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the individual soldiers don't matter so much, but more like the command who gave them those orders. Do they have the authority to order the president of the United States to be killed?
And how are the leaders? How are the leaders of the other factions going to look at that? It's like, oh, they just went in and freaking killed him. Oh shit! Well, we can't ally with these assholes.
I think Alex Garland wanted to make a deliberate parallel with that ending between the execution of Pablo Escobar and the photo that was taken of everybody around his body when he was killed. And again, it was a mixture of journalists and so on. And
that's a weird, but that's, and that makes sense. And I wish they would have done more of that. But that's Pablo Escobar compared to a president. You know, maybe find a famous leader. I mean, like you could have done Mussolini. Gaddafi. That would have been a little hardcore. Gaddafi, exactly. So, I think I talked about it on Friday Night Tights. You know the Grand Theft Auto 6, 7, whatever the hell it is trailer, where they just redid all the memes. You know, all viral videos and stuff. If Alex Garland like had the journalists go through and they reinterpreted famous iconic imagery from other civil wars or wars overseas here in America to give us impact, like here's what it's like, you know, and if it's in your backyard, I think that would have been interesting, real interesting, but he didn't go that route at all.
Well, it'd be interesting to see as well, like how does the rest of the world feel about this? Because America is like essentially the preeminent superpower of the planet, and if they're too busy fighting amongst themselves, what's been the result in the rest of the world? Has like Russia made a move on Eastern Europe? You know, has China made a move on Taiwan? Like all this stuff is probably going on, but we don't know because the movie doesn't tell us anything.
Canadian money's worth more.
Yeah, that was
somehow
Canadian dollars.
I was like, what?
What was the question they asked Nick Offerman at the end? Because his friends died to get them there. Like
they wanted
the
quote,
question would be important. What was the quote?
Well, they asked him for a quote, and he said, "Please don't let them kill me." And the guy was just like, "Okay, that'll do." And then they kill him.
And they kill him.
Two friends died for that.
Did anyone care, by the way, when Kirsten Dunst died?
No, I
didn't.
I knew she was going to die like 5 minutes into the movie. It was either going to be she was going to get killed or the young girl was going to get killed. And I thought on balance, it would probably be Kirsten Dunst. I did think she was good in the film, to be fair. I thought she was good.
Yeah, acting wasn't bad. They just had nothing to work with.
No, but the actors did a good job with the material that they had. And I think like Drinker said, the chap from Narcos now looks like he's 22 years old. What sun cream is he using? I need to get a hold of that.
I mean, the dude's lost a ton of weight since he did Narcos, so I guess that kind of makes him look younger. But yeah, it's uncanny because Narcos was like 10 years ago. So
yeah, he really looks. I've just been rewatching it. He really looks young on the face as well. It's really,
Kirsten Dunst has gone the opposite direction, sadly.
Yeah,
I hate to say
got a little older.
I mean, I know she's meant to look.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know she's meant to look kind of jaded and like strung out and frumpy and stuff in this. Like she's not meant to look glamorous, but like you could tell that what's underneath it. And wow, yeah, I honestly thought she was mid-50s from watching this movie. I was shocked when I found out she's
life's been rough on her. She had a horrible time. She didn't get paid as much as Tobey Maguire. She got called girly girl on the set of Spider-Man. She's had a rough life. Think about her.
How did she cope? How did she survive that?
I don't know.
The trauma.
I don't know.
Well, she hasn't had loads of plastic surgery done like some people.
And good for her for that.
That's a good thing, I think. I think it just looks awful. And I think, if she looks naturally older, I think that's great.
She looks actually they did that for the movie.
Yeah, and she felt like a real person. Do you know what I mean? She, some people, you put them on screen now, they've had so much work done to their face. It's just distracting from the acting.
Oh, Erin Moriarty is a fucking tragedy written upon our screens. Like the pictures that we saw of her, like, Jesus Christ, she's young as well. I don't know why she's done that.
Really
to
young.
herself.
Yeah.
I think it's an addiction for some people. They start it,
Maybe,
and
yeah.
they can't stop, unfortunately. And those doctors make a lot of money in them Hollywood Hills with that. So big industry.
Yeah,
Not so much anymore. Shrinking.
Oh yeah,
a little bit of shrinkage going on.
They all moving to Texas. So they all moving to Texas, Gary.
And all the podcasters are. Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. That's where all the podcasters are moving. So,
is it for tax reasons or is it just because they fucking hate California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. California sucks. California sucks, and the tax situation is much better in one of 3 of those states. I think Florida is pretty great for taxes, and so is Texas. I mean, for being robbed. I don't get robbed as much.
Well, it's good that it doesn't happen quite as much,
No.
It's all proportional.
It is.
Yeah, so it seems like, I don't know, Civil War. Bit shit, really.
Bit shit.
Yeah. I enjoyed the gunfight. It was great in IMAX.
The end battle was good until they walked into the White House. And then when they walked in the White House, it just turns into freaking Idiocracy, like a sequel to Idiocracy, except not as funny. The girl running around not getting shot somehow.
Yeah.
There's only one show where people run around and not get shot unbelievably that we'll talk about next. But like she should have been toast. She should have been toast, and she wasn't. And I think it would have had more impact if MauLer, we talked about it, if they would have shot her, if the girl got shot.
That would have been super subversive if they'd done that.
Powerful.
I'm very in favor of killing children in a lot of media.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, they're annoying as fuck, so you might as well. But no, you made
all the
great
Goonies
suggestion.
should have died at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck those kids. Not literally Hollywood. Calm down. But no, like, yeah. I think when we were talking about this on, Last Orders, I don't know if this was before we actually went live or during, but you suggested that it would have been really cool if they went for almost a Nightcrawler kind of ending, where Kirsten Dunst gets shot and like she's dying, and the young lass, instead of helping her, becomes the pure journalistic vulture that she is, and takes that photo of her dying.
That would have been great, actually.
When I was imagining a payoff, right, where she's desperately reaching out for it, and the girl, like, it looks like she's making a decision. She walks toward her, and instead of helping, she moves like something out of the way for the shot, and then goes back to the camera.
That would have been good. That would have been great, MauLer. That's a great.
But oh well.
But that would have meant portraying journalists in a negative
as they
light,
are,
and we can't have that. Yeah.
I'd like to see someone do a fan edit of this film, intercut with all the Chuck Norris scenes from Invasion USA.
That would be pretty funny.
There you go with that, yeah.
That would have been that would be a fun film with Norris defending the White House. You could do a fun edit of that. That'd be a lot of fun.
For sure.
Chat agrees.
If you go to any of the Alex Garland interviews, he doesn't help himself at all, because like he talks about stuff he should have put in the movie that would have made way more sense, like how some journalists have devolved into just propagandists. It's like that would have been good to put in there. As Reaper pointed out, put in something that it did to where you're being called out by your own side, which is happening now. All journalists are supposed to stand together. It's all about the truth and objectivity, according to this movie, except it's not. And that doesn't even get brought up. He wrote the movie before 2020. He says it in an interview. So anybody who wants to put that date in January on it, that's BS. And although he tries to relate to it later, he straight up, like, it's a love letter to journalists written prior to 2020. We all know what happened. A couple things happened in 2020, I recall, right? They weren't that big.
I can vouch for that, actually. This film's been in development for quite a while. I will say to its credit, I think what they did with the budget was pretty amazing. 50 million with all that action and the recreation that you got at the White House. It's just a shame that the script and the character narrative just wasn't that strong. But I mean, for a film about an invasion of America or America fighting, you know, I got to see some pretty spectacular scenes, and I thought, wow, yeah, let's see more 50 million budget films at this level with this standard of shooting and production design, and you know, but let's have a better script next time, because that's where they don't spend the money.
I mean, that's the thing. That's where you shouldn't need to spend money, because it comes down to just creativity and imagination. Like that doesn't require a huge budget. But yeah, I agree 100%. Like this movie was done on a pretty small budget, like 50 million, like you say. It shouldn't be possible to make something this good or that looks this good on such a small budget, but they did it, and that's impressive. And I'd like to see more of that. And it shows you what can be accomplished if they spend their money wisely.
Exactly, rather than, you know, on producers' fees and 20 million on one star and 20 million on another star. I'm not mentioning any names, Marvel or anything, but yeah,
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's the opposite of the Marvel philosophy, I suppose. Just absolute flab and wastage. So no, it's good to see that at least. So yeah, just give us better scripts, and then we'll all be happy, I suppose.
Sure.
But you know, something that MauLer's not happy about, and I think Reaper as well, actually, is Fallout. And you know what? I feel like I just need to step back and just let you guys air your thoughts on this one, because I feel like we're at odds slightly on this.
Well, who wants to go
I quite
first?
liked it.
Well, then why don't you set the stage, Drinker? You give your take, and then we'll do a little round table.
We'll unbast you.
Okay, I mean, my overall take was that yeah, I'm going to run away.
I liked it. So
yeah, I mean, okay.
I'm happy to say why. So
I feel like it captured the same air of dark satirical comedy that the games did, or at least the later games. I liked the main character. I thought that she was nicely drawn. She wasn't like a Hollywood girl boss who just dominates at everything.
She was actually pretty crap at a lot of things.
Well, yeah, she kind of gets her ass kicked and goes on a bit of a character journey where she's like super naive and a bit useless at everything, learns some harsh lessons, and, you know, eventually evolves into a slightly more savvy person who learns some harsh truths. The aesthetics of it, the kind of retro futuristic 1950s vibe, they nailed that. That was great. I thought Walton Goggins was fantastic as the ghoul. I like the flashback sequences where you get to see, you know, his life before the war, putting into context a lot of the things that led up to the nuclear war and what Voltec was all about. So I thought that stuff worked pretty well, and some decent action sequences. And I feel like for a show that I don't think was done on a huge budget, I think generally it looks pretty good. And
it was about 15 million dollars.
Not a small budget for this one.
An episode.
Well, that's half of what they spent on She-Hulk, and I know which one I'd rather watch.
That's all of what they spent on Godzilla -1 for one episode. Equals the budget of Godzilla -1.
I mean, I played Fallout Las Vegas to death. That game, that was a time when I kind of got up in the morning, played the game. I would suddenly realize it was 2:00 in the afternoon, cooked toast and beans, and then played the game again. And I suddenly realized it was 4:00 in the morning. And I'm sure some people in chat know what I'm talking about. It was that immersive, you know, and my mum had not long passed away, and it got me through a really tough time. And I played that solidly for 6 weeks, and that was my world for 6 weeks. And I got to know it pretty well. And I felt like this TV show got a lot of things right about it. I was expecting it to be awful. I thought, oh my God, not this IP as well, please. And I really was expecting it to be awful. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I felt like it was made by a person who cared about the IP. I didn't mind that some of the lore was broken. I didn't want it to be exactly the same as the game. I did want it to stand as something on its own right, but I didn't like everything about it. I had some issues with it, and I'm sure that they're going to get vocalized by others. But on the whole, I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, tell us why we're wrong.
Well, I'll start with the positives. It looks good, and I like Walton Goggins. Now for the negatives. Every character, every character is stupid. The plot makes no sense. The comedy is like done by a teenager. There's a girl who just pisses all over the floor because her water's broke, and everyone's going, "Oh!" It's like, "Oh, that comedy is awful." Everyone is stupid. The main villain, her entire plan makes no sense. Maximus doesn't even know what his dick's for. She goes, "Do you have sex?" He goes, "Oh, you mean use my penis? Well, what else do you think it's for?" Everything. Oh, it's just. Oh, I'm on PTSD looking at it.
I got a question. So a woman breaks her water. Everybody freaks out in basically what they say is a breeding vault. Wouldn't everybody know what to do in a breeding vault if a woman breaks her water?
Well, you think?
I mean, is it a breeding vault specifically, or is it just
That's
like
what
a
they- yeah, that's
general?
what they said.
Oh,
yeah, but it's not. It's like it's a control. It's not a control vault.
No,
actually, those are different one.
You're missing one thing. They said we keep Vault 33 around for their superior genes. Have you seen the people in the vault?
Yeah.
The guy's 4 foot tall. The other one's like obese.
Yeah, he's had more than his fair
superior
ration share.
Superior genes. I couldn't stop laughing when I heard that.
Yeah.
Well,
MauLer?
all right.
MauLer, share your thoughts with the group.
I think this show doesn't even remotely respect your time or your intelligence. Nothing makes any fucking sense. Everyone acts like a retard, and they're relying on iconography to trick you into ignoring pretty much everything in terms of how lazy or backward ass the development is, with some downright hilariously embarrassing points of view peppered in throughout a lot of the plot lines that if you just keep an eye on them, you can see just how everything is developing. Now, I have seen the show twice to make sure that I didn't miss a lot of things. And you know what? Second time around, I was like, fuck, this makes even less sense. It's getting real confused. The nature of Vault Tech, I take massive issue with how they've been portrayed. They're just like every single thing that they intend to do is I can only describe as retarded. All the main characters, I have to take dramatic disagreement with what Lucy goes through. Every single fucking thing she goes through gets reversed almost instantly soon after. It's incredibly boring. I think this is best accentuated by the fact that a finger gets cut off and then 5 minutes later it's reattached with a dead finger from someone else that just happens to be the exact same shape and size by a robot who intends to cut her up for organs. That makes sense. And then, of course, you know, the amount of times people are shot at and they completely miss. The fucking minigun that fires 1,000 rounds at Dr. Wilzig or whatever his fucking name is, completely miss, right? The Walton Goggins fires something like 30 rounds at Maximus, misses everything, even though in episode 8, he can insta-kill power armor with one shot. That made a lot of sense. I was watching.
Wait, when does he fire at Maximus? Sorry?
About 30 times.
In Philly.
No, but when? What episode?
In Philly.
Episode 2.
Two, yeah.
Oh,
He's
right,
about
yeah,
to
yeah.
he shoots the scientist's foot off, and then Maximus jumps off, and then he shoots him about 50 times. Maximus punches him, and he somehow survives which can destroy concrete.
All Maximus
somehow
had to do was
survives the
squish
punch.
his head, but he just doesn't. He keeps throwing him around because everyone has intense plot armor in the show, and even if they lose a foot or if they get shot in the fucking gut, they'll just be healed seconds later if they're a main character.
Yeah, but that's what happens in the game, though, isn't it?
No.
Well, if you get a stim pack, it'll basically heal you
Yeah.
up, and they pretty much do that here.
I mean,
But he doesn't. He gets shot twice in the back, and then he sits down, and he's not even phased. Then Maximus comes in, punches him full power in the chest. He flies across into the stairs, and he's perfectly fine.
But isn't that the point of a ghoul? Like, they don't die in the normal
My
sense.
issue
like
is not
zombies.
their ability to heal, it's the coincidence that they have access to the materials instantly. For example, Maximus gets into a point-blank shootout with two people who pull first on him, and somehow both of them, one of them misses and one of them shoots him in the arm while he kills both of them. Very lucky, but hey, it works out. He's bleeding out, and they're like, damn, we need to sort out this bleeding out, Maximus. Hopefully we stumble across somewhere that can help us, and they happen to fall into Vault 4, which supplies them fully with material to stitch them up, to give them antibiotics, to feed them, to give them food and water, and then to house them. We can get into Vault 4 later if you want, but ultimately gets them on their way. They practically get a full heal from the gods that are the writers because he got shot in the arm, which he should have been fucking killed in that scene anyway. He's also retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just taking this as like literally reflecting the games. Like shit, like conveniently happens to get you to the next stage of the story.
I'm not expecting this game to depict real life, MauLer. I'm expecting it to be tonally a lot like a video game. It's going to be nonsense, and I don't mind that. I don't care actually, as long as I.
So you agree, right? Because I already knew it was going to happen. You agree there's no stakes.
I don't know about that.
I agree that characters have got intense plot armor. And
Yeah,
like,
they
I got
do
a real
have
sense of like
intense
people will die when they're goddamn good and ready.
Good, because the fact that it's a video game adaptation is being used as a shield for it, and it's getting boring. Like every single problem with this game is like, oh, but I don't know, it happens in the game, so I guess that's okay with me. It's like if it makes you feel like it's the game, that's wonderful, and I appreciate you're enjoying the experience. But that is not the intention of the show. It is attempting to tell you a dramatic story with characters who are going through journeys. It is important when people die.
It's trying to walk this bit of a fine line between like comedy satire and serious dramatic events with stakes, and I think that's a difficult line to walk when you actually have to get people invested in characters being at risk. That is where it comes unstuck, and I 100% agree with you on that one. And it's a difficult problem to get around because you can either replicate the tone and feel of the games, where it very much feels like you're just seeing a video game play out with a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the satirical humor that comes with the games, or you can just have a straight up dramatic story, in which case it's going to feel kind of disjointed from the games because it's a different tone. Because the things that happen in the games can't possibly happen.
Plenty examples that nail this compared, and the fact is the best and brightest of the video game adaptations being something like an Arcane, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I would say even fucking the Mario movie has better stakes than this show does, because this show just doesn't care. It just like anything that the guy is like, oh, he gets his foot when he is crushed by power armor on his foot. I was like, he ain't walking on that ever again. And then they establish like several episodes later, he's walked fucking miles. He doesn't give a shit. And then he just gets it healed, right? Which is a video game mechanic. Sure, I'm fine with the idea that you can heal anything. Becomes a ghoul as a result of that. I was like, okay, I guess that's the rule. Which is incredibly convenient because now that means he can't go back to the Brotherhood, which means he has to provide the head back to Maximus, which is exactly what he needed for the plot. He somehow caught up to him despite being behind him when he first went into Vault 4. They waste a whole bunch of time there, and then they come out and somehow catch up to him instantly before the Brotherhood arrive. Had they been 5 minutes later, the whole story doesn't work, which, by the way, I want to go back to the beginning. Vaults 31, 32, and 33. Moldova coming in there because, if you remember, Hank went out there to get his daughters back from his wife and decided, you know what? Anyone who isn't a super manager.
I like how you call him his daughters. His son. Oh.
I ain't even going to correct that. He has to go out there and get them. And so decides, you know what? Shady Sands and everyone here, I'm just going to come and kidnap my kids somehow without any difficulty and then nuke everything and then go back to my vault. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
If she was with those, if she was with his wife, where was she?
Well, so I'm not even fucking through like all my issues here. So like he goes back to the vault.
It's just Moldova
then is like, I got a plan. I need to activate my cold fusion. I need the thing inside Wilzig's neck, and I need Hank because he'll have the codes. I'm gonna go with my raiders all the way to Vault 32, break in, so then I can do a trade with Vault 31. If you're going to break into Vault 32, why not just break into Vault 31 anyway? She didn't know everyone was dead in Vault 32. That was just incredibly lucky. And then, of course, there's everything. I talked about this on Real BBC with Gary, and as the problems with episode 1 are accentuated once you get the full context of the whole season, everything makes even less sense. Moldova cares extremely about Rose, her values, and her children, yet she allows her raiders to nearly kill Lucy several times. That makes no sense at all. She doesn't
if you're going to get into a vault, you're going to have to fight your way in, and you're going to risk killing everyone, potentially Hank as well, who you need to get the code. So wouldn't it make sense to go into 32 where you can kill everyone, impersonate them, and then fake your way into 33
they
to get
do
what you
that
need?
In 31. She releases her raiders to kill everyone in 31. That's what happens in episode 1.
No, Vault 31 is the control vault that oversees it all.
Oh, sorry, 33. If she didn't want to have everyone get into a big fight in 33, then why did she do that anyway?
Well, I guess she was hoping that they would be able to infiltrate the place. Like, they get discovered ultimately, and then it all goes to shit, and they have to kill everyone.
They just start killing everybody.
Yeah, they're eating cake as they're doing it.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. I would definitely eat cake when I kill people.
remember, just try and pretend you are Moldova for a second. You need to get Hank, and preferably you need to free these people from the experiment, because remember, Rose believed that they were under a horrible experiment. Moldova believed in her. She described her as like good, kind, intelligent, caring, curious, and that was reflected in her kids. She practically let her kids get killed as far as she was concerned. Remember, at one point she says you got to choose your daughter or these people. He chooses his daughter, so she leaves her behind in the vault instead of liberating her from this horrible experience. But then doesn't even kill the people that she said that he had to choose between. I didn't make any sense of any of that, but it gets so much worse.
She needs the code, and that choice shows that he cares more about his daughter than anyone else. So why not just go, we're going to kill your daughter unless you give us the code?
Why not, in case he lies, right? Why not kidnap him and the daughter, take them to the observatory, and then have him put the code in? If he refuses, then you threaten the daughter. It's the simplest shit ever, but it gets so much stupider, right? I don't want to spend too much time on the vaults. She would walk back from Vault 33 through to 32, back out into the wasteland, all the way to the observatory, correct? We're all on board with that? The other half of this is she needs to get Wilzig's head. Now, preferably, it would be attached to his body. She doesn't want him dead or anything. He's in the Enclave. He moves to Philly. Then he gets the head taken off, and then she takes that with the ghoul all the way to, like, it goes on an adventure. It eventually gets back to the observatory. Why does Moldova pay someone called Rufus, to pay someone called Tommy, to pay someone called Ma June to help move Mr. Wilzig from Philly to the observatory instead of just doing it herself? She went to the vault. That is further back than Philly. So she would have been, she had to walk past Wilzig to get to the observatory, and she decided instead she would pay a whole bunch of people to pay a whole bunch of people to get him to the observatory. Why not just do it herself?
I don't know the geography of these vaults and where they sit in relation to the observatory.
If you remember, Lucy, when she leaves the vault to go to Philly, she bumps into Wilzig immediately. Wilzig is known to be going.
Yeah, but you don't know where. You don't know how far he's wandered from where he started off.
He's supposed to go to Philly. That's the point. Is Ma June is supposed to take care of him in Philly. She's paid to do that by Moldova. If Moldova is going to pay 3 different people to take care of him in Philly to the observatory, why not just do it herself?
Also, the Enclave must be close, because when Lucy leaves the vault, the scientist bums right into her, so he's got to be nearby.
Well, she used fast travel to get there, clearly.
It's so retarded, because I actually think that it's just something that they hope you don't notice. She does all that work with the vaults herself, personally, with her raiders. She could have done Wilzig along the way, but she just doesn't, because otherwise we wouldn't have a whole plot.
Have you taken your heart medication today?
No.
Make sure. Okay.
There is so much. I'm not even.
I have no retort to that particular assertion.
You liked it. Apart from all those things, you loved it, though, right? You thought it was great.
I was so disappointed that Hank went from being what I thought was going to be an interesting man who would sacrifice anything for his daughter, including the safety of the vault to an extent. Like, that's how much he loved it. All the way over to, no, he just values the gene pool of super managers.
The terrible gene pool.
That was fucking
Carl McLachlan's character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially wasting.
Well, that's I guess that's the essence of what
cartoonish
Vault-Tec
supervillain.
is like the complete inhumanity of them, like valuing their experiments, their procedures, their mission above all else. That's it doesn't bear out in terms of like realistic human behavior, but that's the world of Fallout. That's the kind of people that get recruited into Vault-Tec.
How many characters have to be retarded before it's a bad show?
You'd be surprised at my tolerance for retardation in a show like this.
I couldn't get over the fucking capitalism and bad speech that they all have in the big table, the big room filled with fat cats talking about how the best way to capitalize on the world economy is to kill everyone. That shit was so fucking dumb. I was losing my mind.
I think that's where I guess I had an issue. Because in the games, it's always kept ambiguous as to how the war started. It was just an event which took place, and Vault-Tec didn't necessarily precipitate it. They just knew that it was going to happen sooner or later, and they prepared for it.
Yeah, I felt
now
like
it's unambiguous. They're like, we need to do this.
Know that in season 1, did we? Really? That could have come a lot later as a twist, which a twist that MauLer would have loved, obviously. But that was too much information too soon.
It also ruins Mr. House, because Mr. House didn't know when the bombs are going to drop, which is why he's all fucked up in New Vegas, because he missed it by a week. He went, it's in the next 15 years. I don't know when. Was off by a week. In this one, he was told the exact date and didn't check his calendar.
Yeah.
So he's an idiot.
All I can gather from this is, don't worry, it's supposed to be retarded. Okay.
I mean, I think that's kind of the gist of it, which
great,
I
man.
guess
Well,
it's not going to be a very satisfactory explanation. I understand that.
I like my satires written with intelligence instead of like, communist is just the word they give people who aren't insane. That's a quote
Well,
from
she
the show,
does
by the
no,
way.
but she does preface that by saying, "I'm not a communist." She specifically says that she is not one.
But then acts
To
like
the
one.
point.
And
Well,
kills
yeah,
people.
but the point she's
what do you
making
mean?
is that like
People.
it's easy
They-
for Vault Tech to just smear people as communists in order to get them discredited and removed from any kind of threat position.
They refer to
against
their own
them.
meetings as like everyone's referring them to as communist meetings. They're in an exact opposition to capitalist ideology. Like that's the point of them. They want
I
everyone
thought
to have
that
free
the way
to
I read
power.
it is that they're in opposition to like corporationism. They're in opposition to Vault Tech exploiting
Vault-Tech
people.
explicitly talks about winning the game of capitalism over and over again.
Yeah, because aren't they meant to reflect capitalism taken to its nth degree?
The game is
Well, corporates are
satirizing
more like-
the side of capitalism as, be careful because it leads to war, famine, just horrible apocalypse because that capitalism benefits from war. Meanwhile, the characters who get called communists throughout the whole show are all the good guys.
And what does she want to do? She wants to give free energy to everyone in the wastelands.
And Hank wants to stop
Yeah,
it.
but who calls them communist? It's Vault Tech,
It's
the
everyone
antagonists
else.
of the story.
We've got the people on the set.
So I
of the
don't believe
movie
what they
doing it.
say.
But you can also infer from the writers, because the writers have removed any sort of blame from communist China, because that's what starts the war. The war between China and communist China and capitalist America. Yeah, all the blame is on capitalist America.
They fought
The
in the
war wasn't it
and
between
she
Russia
said,
and America, like over Alaska?
No, it was China. China take Alaska, and then they invent power
yeah.
armor, push them out of
Yeah.
Alaska. Then they start to
Yeah.
invade China, and it's believed China froze the first nuke because they're about to lose.
and another quote
that's
from
the
her is,
theory.
"We have more in common with those people that we fought in that war than we do with the people who are running this country."
Yeah.
But how do you want to interpret that?
Someone in chat.
Interpret?
Someone in
Well,
chat said
is she
there's no-
referring to the people, like the people who have been manipulated into
On the
fighting the
ground?
war on the other side, like the soldiers? Like, do we have more in common with the common man, literally, who's just been slapped into a suit of power armor and told to go and kill these other guys, than we do with these corporate overlords who have sent us on these missions and who are orchestrating the downfall of the entire human race? I guess that's how I interpreted it. I didn't see it as necessarily a strict communist versus capitalist argument on her behalf.
But it's what she does. She says communists aren't insane. Then later on, she's murdering innocent people. So it's kind of like, do you take a word for it? She behaves like a
Well,
communist.
again, she says, I'm not a communist, but communist is just a word that they put on people who aren't insane, as i.e. people who oppose Vault Tech. So I don't know, call me crazy. I interpreted that as her saying, I've got no interest in communism. I don't think Vault Tech is in our best interest, and I think they're ultimately going to fuck us all over, and I want to hold them accountable. But they're going to call me that because it's an easy way to smear me and get me destroyed.
Yeah,
That's
if
why
you worded it
guys.
like that would make sense. But the problem is she kills innocent people in the future. So it's like her word means nothing.
Well, that's the thing.
Just slaughters a
Everybody
bolt.
is fucked in the show because of the writing. Like, no, the show thinks she's a good person. They don't realize how much of an
she
awful person
isn't.
she is. Yeah.
I mean, is this a greater good argument where it's like, okay, she's willing to sacrifice some innocent lives in order to get free, unlimited
what-
energy restored to the wasteland? And
We went over this. What
how-
she did in Vault 33 made no sense for her own values and just general values in general. She wanted to release her raiders to just run around and kill people. Why?
Also, Lucy is a girl she cares about because she knew didn't it Shady Sands, but her new husband tries to stab her to death. If she cared about Lucy, her new husband should have locked the door and went, don't care about what's going on outside.
They should have captured the
is there an
overseer,
element-
revealed the truth, and got them out of there. Instead, she has them all have a big fucking war. It makes no sense.
But is there an element of I'm having to use these raiders because they're literally the only tool that I have at my disposal? And
They
they're
work for
not
her.
perfect, and they are, they get out of my control. They end up killing people.
No, they
that I
are
didn't want
fully
them to
in
kill.
her control. They worship her. Remember, she's even got
Oh,
cults
they
around the
drink
world
blood.
that aren't just them.
They smear each other in dead ashes, and then it's forgotten about. Why is she
Yeah,
the Flame Mother?
That part was particularly fucking strange.
They go, blood, drink blood, and then next week, the next morning, they're like, "Oh, gee, wait," and they can't cut the rope. I went, "Hang on a second, you cannibals."
They're not random raiders that she picked up from outside. They work for her.
The NCR survivors, because they come from that vault. They wear.
Yeah, they all hate Hank specifically, but they shouldn't hate the people in the vault because they've all been tricked.
Yeah. And she knows this. She knows Lucy's mum. Lucy's mum would have told her this.
Well, yeah, and she's like as Reaper's mentioned a couple times, she's letting Rose's children get killed when she values them almost as much as she valued Rose. How does that make
Supposedly.
sense?
That guy tries to stab her to death. If he went, ignore what is going on outside and lock the door, that would make sense. Oh, he's trying to keep Lucy safe. But he doesn't. He goes, that was the best sex I ever had. I'm gonna kill you now.
Somebody in chat earlier said there's never been so many awkward silences on an open bar before.
Well, there's another one.
I just wanted to point that out.
Gary, what's your thoughts on this?
MauLer had the floor, man. I was letting him go.
I've spoken too much. I shall
Yeah,
retire.
No,
Gary,
the long
Gary,
man is-
chat's waiting to hear from you, Gary.
They are waiting to hear from me. I did finish all 8 episodes. I am obviously an expert gamer, so I played all of these games.
Hardcore, man. Hardcore.
Know them through and through. Especially Shady Sands. Is that what it's called? Sandy Shades, Shady Sands,
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands, and the
Hand
arguments
shandies.
amongst the fandom with that. As a TV show without playing the game at all, I didn't like it. People were saying, "Hey, wait till the episode 4, man. It really kicks in with episode 4." I think it actually gets worse. Because
I'll get my coat. See you, drinker. Okay.
see ya.
Yeah.
I think it gets worse.
It's fucking weird. I'm defending a show against charges of being woke from MauLer. What has happened to this world? Have I lost my mind?
Anything like that? I'm just saying what's in the fucking show. All right.
Yeah,
That's all
we're
I'm
just
doing.
just talking about what's in the show. It's really easy to pick out the DEI check boxes. I saw that in the first episode. It gets fucking worse as it goes on. Maximus is a shit character. I just can't stand any scene he's in. He's just dumb.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah,
actually.
like Lucy was fine. Like for one, she's hot, and like that helps. But
Oh, yeah.
I think they really tried not to make her a girl boss. Like I think there was like, hey, we can't make her a girl boss yet, but we'll lead into that later because there's a couple of fight scenes that she had no business winning, and I understand that this is like satire. Like this is supposed to be satire. With the communist stuff, I think they try to play both sides of it. When she specifically does say, "I'm not a communist," but that's what they, put a label they put on people who aren't insane. And we're just fighting this evil corporation. But then there's like all this communist iconography running around, like the Russian satellite that's perfectly preserved that they hide behind, where she cuts his head off. I'm assuming that was a satellite.
For fuck's sake, it's just a big lump of metal in the desert. It's not
It
meant to
would have been
represent
fucking
anything.
destroyed. A satellite doesn't like crash like that.
So is that your argument? Oh, the satellite
I'm
crash
just-
landed on Earth, so like Soviet fucking communist stuff is better.
I'm just starting my argument. And then when they worship her, when they worship Moldavia or whatever the fuck her name is, communist iconography, and then just constantly, bringing up that Vault Tech again. I haven't played the game. Is supposed to represent capitalism and that degree of capitalism. And I think to myself, and I'm watching this on $1 trillion company's streaming service, adapting a game with like 75 sequels. So I love it when Hollywood does it. You remember the Last Jedi? I remember their little Canto Bite thing. It's just as cringe. Ultimately, I like Walton Goggins. He's great in everything. You ever seen Justified? Go see Justified. Justified's a great show. He's fine, except he spies on his wife, and I'm like, oh my god, over a dog. and that was a little hard for me to believe. Again,
I
don't
would
know
go
if
to
it's in the
war
game.
over a dog, Gary.
Not with my wife. You know,
Yeah, I would.
That's what the
well,
John
my
Wick
wife wouldn't
films
make
are
me pick
about.
a dog, but what was that?
That's what the John Wick films are about. They kill his dog and he kills everyone.
Yep, they are. But it's not about your wife, dude. Come on. Spying on your wife was a bit much, but ultimately it got kind of turned into a slog at the end. And some of well, for one, very convenient timing with so much like people running into each other. So she starts out, Lucy starts out near the Santa Monica Pier, right? And they're ultimately end up in the Griffith Observatory. If you're familiar with LA is a pretty big area, but it would take
Don't know
about
where
that
any
long.
of that stuff is.
It would be really fucking hard to bump into people like that. Okay. LA is not like San Francisco where it's like really small. It's like
Gary,
7x7.
My favorite one is when he's trapped in the power armor and he's about to be eaten by rad roaches, and she's near death from radiation poisoning, and they bump into each other and save each other's lives in the middle of nowhere. It's just like, nice, guys. Good job.
Yeah, the bully has already took the head in the opposite direction so that you can't even use the tracker as an excuse.
Oh my god, dude! When he said we can trace the mutant, the ghoul for his radiation signature, I was like,
There's
in
radiation
the fucking
everywhere.
wasteland.
Yeah.
What? Everything is radiated. Are you retarded?
Yes.
A lot of it was. Lucy was fine. The ghoul was. I wanted more of the ghoul. But when you get to his backstory, I think they just explained too much. And you know, at the very end, they show that city. To somebody who's never played the game, like, and that was supposed to be a big moment. It's like, what the fuck was that?
Oh yeah,
what was that?
They'll
I have
ruin
no
that
idea.
next season. Don't you worry.
We'll find out. I love how the Brotherhood just takes a long fucking time to show up to places. Then they wreak havoc at the end. And then they have enough time to have a big fucking conversation about, you know, like, are you going to kill dad? And like, when you can predict whatever Moldavia, I don't care what her fucking name is. I could absolutely predict, well, that's a girl boss and she'll be a misunderstood villain by the end. And when I saw Kyle MacLachlan, I'm like, he'll be the bad guy. And that's exactly what happened. When it gets that predictable, it suffers. It suffers from DEI. It's DEI storytelling, and it's obvious that a writer from Captain Marvel was involved with this, with some of the dialogue and some of the definitely messaging in it.
I will say, I want to put this out there that it is 100% less insufferable than pretty much anything that Disney have put out in the past 5 years. Yep, there's definitely some of those elements that you discussed there, but like in terms of, you know, the whole girl boss thing, like
there's girl bosses everywhere in this.
I don't even know why we're entertaining that as a bar anyway. Like,
Yeah,
I know, but like it's all
we don't
relative,
have
and I
that-
have to go with what's available.
Well, the
But
bars
there's plenty
become
of good
so
things
low.
available.
Well,
it's the
maybe
same-
that's it. You know, maybe the bar is just that low. Sorry, Reaper,
Well, that's
go
the
ahead.
thing.
The open
Oh,
bar
that's
is
fine.
that low.
It's at the point now where you have She-Hulk literally break the fourth wall and go, "You piece of shit." And they go, "Well, it didn't do that." That's basically like the bar now. Because she was designed to be a Mary Sue from the beginning. She's a fencer, a martial artist, a scientist, an engineer. She's an expert marksman. She's a gardener. She has like 50 skills that she never uses. That was
Yeah, she's
definitely
just-
a redo.
just
Well,
not
I
even
thought a
in
lot
the
of that
show.
was just referencing the special system.
Well,
She doesn't use
you
any
know,
of it.
she even points out that she's not particularly good at certain things. Like she's not good
But
at.
she lies. It's sarcastic because she goes, "I'm not particularly good," and hits the bullseye in the marksman training. But those
Yeah,
skills
true.
are never used once.
I mean, you know, I bought into that. They even mentioned like they're naive and they're stupid and they're supposed to be the best gene pool, but they're not. They're a bunch of fucking idiots because they're management. They're middle management. That's kind of funny. I think you can
HR
run,
departments.
yeah, it's a
Well, I think
giant
That's
HR
what they
department.
are.
Well, I think as well, like the show satirizes kind of lefty politics on immigration and stuff as well. Like when they capture a whole bunch of the raiders, and you got people talking about trying to integrate them into like the vault culture and stuff, and it's like clearly these people are like complete psychopaths that will murder you as soon as they get out of their holding cell.
But when they were starting to calm down, somebody poisoned them.
Yeah, the
Wow.
show doesn't align with that at all. It just kills
in
them.
fact,
It obviously
wrong.
condemns that.
Yeah, it's going. These people.
Well,
were
that's the
gonna
point.
integrate
It's like
and stop this.
It's clear just from looking at it, like that's a stupid plan. Like if you were to try and rehabilitate them and release them into your vault, they would kill everyone.
Well, yeah, but the show, we don't get to explore that at all. They all just
Well,
get
I know, because like obviously it doesn't want to go down that direction, because if you tried to do it, then it would kill all the characters there, and you wouldn't get any of the subplot about Vault 31.
If you're gonna interpret that way, what do you have to say about the character in Vault 4 who says, I hate that we have to take in new people and that we can't call them names and that we have to like this smelly culture?
Because it's giving you different perspectives, because each vault is different and the mindset of the people in them are different. I guess that's the point. It's like trying to satirize all different perspectives and taking them to their most extreme level and just saying, like, this is stupid, isn't it?
What I'm getting at is he has his rant about he hates immigration, and then she just stares at him like he's a fucking crazy person. Meanwhile, when you have an actual ethical dilemma of a bunch of people try to attack and steal stuff from you and kill some of you, you've got them captured in a pen. Do you just kill them all? What do we do? What's the and that they highlight that.
No, you're missing the thing though. Like, he's talking about like, oh, I couldn't even make a joke about how I can't remember what it was. Something like a bomb going off. Because they're refugees from a fucking town that got nuked. And he's like, oh, I couldn't even, make a joke about that because it totally bombed.
Yeah, because they get offended.
And she looks at him because of that, because of the very obvious, like, yeah, that is going to be really hurtful or really shit thing to say to someone who's just survived a nuclear blast.
It's not just the joke. All of it. He says, like, I can't make fun of their smelly food. It's such a weird thing.
I know.
Obviously, the point.
Yeah, it takes it to the
and he says the only reason he does it is because of policy that was set a long time ago. Like, what do you think the point with that is?
I with the character of Maximus, like you guys have pointed out how dumb he is. When we first met him, I thought he was going to be this super cool guy that was really good at everything. I was kind of glad that they made him a bad person, that he was actually a bit of a narcissist, that he doesn't help that cleric played the cameo role from the guy from True Romance, which was quite a nice little touch.
Oh, Rappaport.
And yeah, and I mean, I did hate him. I kind of wanted him to die. I did find his character annoying, but I kind of liked that. I liked the fact that this guy was not noble, that he wasn't all righteous and everything. He's actually very much about himself and his own ego and stuff. And I thought that was a pretty brave decision to set him up like that. So,
well, I think with that particular guy, with the knight who's dying, the guy, for one, has proven himself. He's proven himself to be a fucking coward because he runs away from like the bear thing. Like, and so it shattered his illusions about what the knights actually are. And two, the guy's sitting there saying, like, you need to give me that med pack, but even if you give me the med pack, I'm going to make sure that you get fucking executed once you get back to base.
Smart.
That is not something I would say to a person who I need their help to
if
not
you let
die.
me live, I'll punish you.
He may as well have been like, you best heal me, because if you do, I'll make your life a living hell. You'll regret the very day you heal me, but you better heal me. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, that was intense retardation right there.
I agree. I wish he hadn't said that line. It would have been better if he didn't say that, and the guy still behaved.
Yeah, because there's a way to make that scene play out in a more intelligent fashion.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, he's like, oh, heal me up and we'll go back to base. And then, Maximus can say, well, what are you going to tell them about what happened here? And, he can gradually get more suspicious. And then you just see him withdraw and the guy beg for help. And then he just, passes away. That could work. That could have worked in a much better way.
With Lance, that I like the idea of having a character who is morally dubious or even morally, just an asshole, especially in the world of Fallout. We could definitely make that work. What I'm finding is loads of people find Maximus to be the worst character. And I was curious because I was trying to figure out what it is exactly. Could it be the performance? People have said he looks like he's perpetually crying. I understand that, the facial expression from the actor. He's not particularly good. That's okay, though. I feel like that wouldn't explain why everyone hates him. I think what it is that he is assumed by the Brotherhood of Steel to have sabotaged a fellow brother, and he gets promoted to squire. It's like, brother. Oh, okay, fine, I guess. That's pretty lucky. Then his knight dies by him letting him bleed out, and he essentially just takes the suit. He gets all of this as a result of doing something pretty bad. You're like, damn, okay. takes the identity, you know? And then next up, like, he goes through all these horrors in the wasteland, but he keeps getting bailed out by the plot constantly, right? Anytime he gets close to death, someone turns up, something turns up. He's always just
His
fine
suit
just a
always
moment.
turns up. That's like,
And then-
they found his suit. That's
Yeah, there you go. We got him.
What
It's
about the head?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant for Vault 4
head?
to not only find and
Yes.
provide the suit back. That was fucking amazing. Anyway, he then goes back to the Brotherhood after having stolen the identity of the Knight, admitted that there's so much sus shit going on with everything that he has done, lied, stolen, lies to the entire Brotherhood about the very material they need the most. They find this out, that he fucking lied, and then he says, wait, don't kill me. I know where the actual one is. Like, if you know where the actual one is, that's even worse. And so what do they do with him?
The treachery.
What do they do with him? They tell him, you've come to understand the truth about the Brotherhood of
No,
Steel. Power is
before that.
taken.
Before
No,
that,
I'm
his
pass the
trans
test.
friend, his trans friend goes, "Don't do it." And he goes, "Okay."
Well, yeah,
And
but
that's
it's not
twice.
only
She gets promoted every time. She gets like all
Wait,
because
dude.
she says, "Don't do it."
he gets promoted, right? And then she gets promoted as well because he says, like, why are you coming on the mission? And she's like, this is my punishment. I was like, punishment? This is the thing
They
that
reward
he's doing.
failure.
In order to remember, he accidentally looks like he's the one that killed Moldova, and so now he's
Yeah.
going to be the right-hand man of the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel. I think people don't like the Maximus storyline because he does everything stupid and keeps getting rewarded. He keeps failing
I
upward.
think there's someone in the organization either protecting or deliberately promoting him. That was
Oh,
what
it's a trans woman.
Now, I could be wrong. It could be crap writing, and you might be right. But my gut feeling is there's something else behind that. But I'm quite willing to be.
He's like the
wrong.
Forrest Gump of this story, and
Yeah, he is.
yeah, it would. I don't know. It didn't pull out. Like, have him earn something, because in Forrest Gump he earned some shit. Okay, he didn't just stumble across everything. So have him earn something. He kind of does it. Oh no, he gets knocked out at the end, and then he gets credit for killing.
Gary, it is insane. He's going to be the right hand knight of the main leader of the Brotherhood of Steel,
Just
all
like
because
that.
he accidentally gets knocked out into places that best benefit him.
How
He
did
made
he
such
survive?
awful decisions, and there are no consequences for any fucking thing that he did. He
MauLer, in real life, in my industry, a lot of really crap, untalented people get really far, and some of them are making shows like
They
this.
do.
I don't disagree.
It does happen in real life, you know.
I think it's fair to say the writers wrote what they knew.
Well, how did he survive getting punched in the head by Lucy's dad?
Oh, don't worry about
How
it.
survived
Power armor shit doesn't do anything.
You know what?
Flying
For a second, I
head
thought he
should've
was
came off his
dead,
shoulders.
and I'm like, at least that's something. You
At
know, if
least
he
that's
actually
something,
died,
yeah.
that would have been something. I'm like, oh no, he's not dead. What am I thinking? Oh, they let Kyle MacLachlan just fucking fly away at the end too. He's like, well, it's better to follow a stuck pig. I was like, what?
Speaking of flying
Yeah,
away,
I seemed to like put a tracker on him or something, but like I don't think he did.
Yeah.
why
it's like,
didn't Michael Rappaport fly away?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because he was too stupid.
He was too stupid. Everyone's too
figure.
fucking stupid in this whole show constantly. It's
I don't
fun.
remember those suits being able to fly in the game. Did they?
There, you could get a jetpack attachment for them, but it depleted the fusion core really quickly.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I'll say
never
some
had
good
it.
stuff. Sorry,
Walton Goggins.
I'll Walter Goggins. The aesthetic is really
It's
cool.
Walton.
Walton.
Yeah.
Did I say Walter? Sorry,
Walton
Goggins.
Goggins.
I'm retarded. Stop. And I like the aesthetic. I like some of the costumes. Some of the gore was pretty cool.
Mhm.
I chuckled a couple times. Like the dog. I like the dog. Was it Dog Meat? Is that the name
Yeah.
of the dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, your companion.
Yeah. So like,
Why?
my wife loved it
Why'd
So-
you like the dog though, Gary?
because it's a dog.
Dogs are nice,
I like
MauLer.
dogs.
Just so
I was
puffy and
making
furry,
sure.
MauLer.
I was just making sure it was just because it's a dog. That's all good.
And they
But
can
doesn't
be
he
your
stumble across
friends.
the dog?
MauLer. We're going to get you one for Christmas.
I've got 3
Aw.
dogs. They're old though. They're old.
Can I
Okay,
touch upon the? Sorry,
Sorry, it's your show. You should probably go.
no, Gary, I interrupted you.
silence.
Carry on. sir.
I just wanted to ask, how in the fuck did the doctor escape getting shot almost directly by probably a 50 caliber Gatling gun, whatever the fuck that was when he was
Oh,
escaping?
yeah.
yeah,
How in
more
the
touch on that.
Gary, how
That
did
was
he
that
escape
was
the-
really shitty action staging, and I
Yeah.
don't know why they did that. They could
How
have
did he
just had.
escape the Enclave? How did the waddling doctor who's like 50 escape the Enclave? I have no idea.
And MauLer,
With a
did you
dog.
do a count on how many times Kid Maximus walked out of the fridge?
Oh,
'Cause
it
you
was.
told me it was a lot. It's like 6.
I think it was a grand total of either 5 or 6.
It's 5 or
Um,
6.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
a lot of,
hilarious.
Didn't he
lot of
survive?
flashbacks.
Didn't he survive a nuke like Indiana Jones did in
He
a
did.
fridge
He
with
did.
a
Yes,
hole?
in the
in the
fridge.
back
Say
of it?
that. They should have had
That's
a take where
isn't
Indy
it?
comes
There's a
out behind
hole in
him.
the back of
This,
it.
this is what I mean about their inept approach. It's like they're referencing one of the dumbest moments in the history of Indiana Jones while having a very dramatic, like, this is a core memory that made him decide to fight for justice in the world of Fallout. It's like, what are you doing? This is just funny.
Also, the Brotherhood of Steel are at war with the NCR. Why is there a Brotherhood Knight right in the capital of the NCR to rescue him?
I don't actually know what the fuck that knight was doing there now. I guess
In the
maybe they'll tell us in
capital
season
of
2.
enemy territory.
Yeah, MauLer, just remember there's only 3 Indiana Jones films. 3.
There is.
correct.
That's
But
all.
there was 6 scenes of him walking out of a fucking refrigerator. We would have gotten it with
Yeah.
2. Okay.
And it's
It
not
wa-
like
you
each
know what?
scene, like it's not like it shows you a bit more each time. It
No,
is
no.
pretty much just the same thing.
Just the
Well,
last time they show more. They
What's
show
funny
more.
is
But
when she's like,
yeah.
he's the one. Shady Sands, he did it. And then it like he slows it down. He looks at it. I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the flashback. They show
Yeah.
the fridge again. It's like, no.
It's too good to only show once.
you know what?
I-
And if with that revelation, if Maximus just shot Kyle MacLachlan in the head right there, that would have. I'm like, shoot him in the fucking head right now. Just kill him. Just fucking kill him. Yeah, and that would have had more impact. But no.
I wanted
was
to
the
touch a
scene?
little bit on the difference, the divide amongst gamers, because even amongst the Fallout fandom, right, not just the show, but the games themselves are divisive. Because James Moore here has said, and this is for $100, so you know he's serious. Fallout show is good if you like Bethesda's absolute slop. The Black Isle Obsidian games are the good and serious with a hint of dark humor. The ghouls aren't zombies. They need food and water to survive. The Brotherhood were never a large faction until Bethesda took over. 3 out of 10 at best. Harsh. sir.
How big was the Brotherhood originally?
Well, they were kind of big-ish, but they were losing to the NCR because Mr. House says this. He goes, fancy power armor and laser rifles are nothing when you're outnumbered 15-1. And they were all hiding in bunkers in New Vegas. Like, and then that's the thing. The scribe goes, "We've fallen on bad times." When what are you talking about? Your biggest enemy's dead, and you've got a blimp.
You
You're more powerful than you've ever been.
a bunch of helicopters and lots of I guess lots of weaponry and yeah, dude. Lots of
But like
bullets.
they're absolutely getting slaughtered. And now the biggest rival's gone, and they should be the undisputed power.
Drink
Yeah,
of
that's
water.
what I was
Mention
thinking.
Caesar's Legion.
I was how could she be in charge when they are obviously pretty fucking strong, with a lot of people, and again, like endless, they didn't seem to be wanting for too many resources, right?
No.
The Brotherhood.
No,
The Brotherhood, yeah, they seem like they had plenty of fuel, plenty of weaponry,
Yeah, so they're the remnants of the US military. That's why they've inherited all the power armor, the weaponry, the helicopters, all that sort of thing.
well, the Enclave in New Vegas were like 5 old guys, and now they've got a giant facility. Somehow the Enclave is back, like Palpatine. They're just back now.
Well, they are and they aren't, because when you see their facility later, it's abandoned. So I don't know what you're meant to take from that.
But you had the alarm, and you could see guards, you could see scientists. They had multiple dog experiments. They were doing quite a lot. When you consider, like, they were just 5 old dudes in New Vegas.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It does a bad job of world building because, like,
I had no idea what the
terrible.
Enclave was. I just thought
Well,
they were inside that building, but I had no idea how big it was. And who was
Yeah, it
running
doesn't.
Yeah,
It
How does he
it
take his
seems
dog
to rely a
outside?
lot on people having knowledge of the games, which is a problem because there's a lot.
but
of
if
people
you
who
do
aren't
have
gonna
knowledge
know.
of the games, it goes against them. So it wants its cake and eats it too. It wants people to know the games, but it also doesn't want to be held to the same standard as the games.
Yep, it's like the Halo
Yeah, but the
show.
Enclave are not just
Yeah.
referenced in New Vegas. They've been a staple of Fallout.
But they've
All
been
throughout
like
the series.
massively destroyed. It's like the Brotherhood. Brotherhood is like on the losing path, and then now they're just winners. The NCR is the biggest faction. Now it's like Raiders.
Well, I mean,
Race
even
Caesar's
if you,
Legion's
if you
just
played,
gone.
yeah, but even if you played the later Fallout games like 3 and 4, the Brotherhood were massive. Like they had huge
That's
resources.
a different chapter. That's on the other side of the country.
Isn't-
on the
isn't
Californian
first time
coast, they're
we-
getting decimated.
Reaper, the first time we see the airship, isn't that in Fallout New Vegas? When it
No,
gets
it's
Fallout
Fallout
4.
3. Did you see them 3 as well? No,
I thought they first turn up in 3. In isn't it 3 or?
You mean the vertibirds or the blimp? There's the Pridwin or the vertibirds, because the little helicopters are in 3.
Yeah, because
then
no, you're right. The Pridwin doesn't show up until 4. It flies right overhead. Yeah.
Are you sure? I thought it turned up in New Vegas.
The Pridwin, which if it is the Pridwin, why is it all the way from the Commonwealth? Why is it from Boston? Flew across the country. Do they have like the entire country to themselves? Like, what's the power level?
I just remember seeing it come over the top of me when I was on top of that building with you got the crashed helicopter and you rescue the guy who's like under siege. And that's the first time you meet the Brotherhood. And then shortly after that, it turns up and soars over the top of the building. And I'm sure that was in New Vegas, which is the only one I can remember playing all the way through.
I just saying, number 4 is the one with the most powerful. Number 3, they're kind of struggling to stay alive against the super mutants. Right. And in this one, they just seem to be just unstoppable.
Oh, everybody's saying Fallout 4 in the chat. So
yeah, it's the Pridwins when you.
Maybe I did play that and I got it wrong.
You kill Kellogg, and then he goes, "I've got your son in the institute," and then you leave, and then you see the Pridwin. But the thing is, though, it's a terrible job with the factions. I don't like. It didn't even explain what they wanted. Like, what's the Enclave wants? There's a throwaway comment with the Brotherhood of Steel. Considering they're a major faction, you'd think they'd do a bit more.
You know what I'm going to do here, right? I'm going to put it to the chat. I'm going to put a poll out there saying, "Is
good idea,
Drinker?
Good? Well done."
Yeah, Lance suggested this to me, and it's a good idea. So here you go. The poll,
especially with his chat. No,
well, while
let's see how it goes.
While they're voting, Drinker, I want to ask you about some lines of dialogue. Right, I want to know what you think of them. Quote: "Regular boys can get angry and they'll just pee on the wall, but clever boys like you, when they get angry, you're lucky not to have seen where that can lead. Just tread lightly."
That takes me back to my.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure what I should interpret from that one. I remember the line.
So what you should interpret from it is the smart people, when they're angry, get more threatening than stupid people.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
But they decided to write that as regular boys piss on the wall when they're mad.
Which scene was that?
I think you're not meant to take that literally. I think that's safe to assume. Like, it's
no, you're not taking it literally, but that's supposed to be some kind of a metaphor. Like, what the fuck was
her point being? On the wall? Like, people might resort to physical violence when they're angry, and like you're clearly more dangerous because you're smarter, and we know a bigger threat.
Yeah,
you very much know as a writer, there's about 1 billion ways to write that line. They chose to say, "Boys when they're angry will pee on the wall."
Because that's what I do when I'm pissed all the time.
You get what I'm saying, right? Like,
on the wall.
Like there's so many better ways to get.
I get you. Do
you remember when Thaddeus gets a moment to explain his backstory, and he says, "I got beat up a lot, and then a new guy came in, Maximus, and I said, let's beat him up. Funny idea, and it worked, and I was really popular."
Why do the scribes hate him then?
Yeah, because the
leaderships hate him.
So yeah, again, like, is it the most elegant way of getting that point across? No, but he's not an articulate man. He is a pretty simple character. No, I can totally get that he would see the world in very broad, simple terms, like playground mentality of like, okay, you pick a weaker kid.
I'm no longer accepting he's a retard as a response to any of my
criticism. He's a retard, but it's simply he is not an articulate philosopher who sees the world in complex ways. He is a simple-minded man. He's a grunt.
It's not about that. It's about the writers choosing to make his backstory and then have him describe it this way. There's plenty of dialogue in the show that's perfectly normal, but when you have the heartfelt moment of understanding his history and who he is as a person, the way he says it, right? I was hoping to get through the whole quote. "I get beat up a lot, and this new guy comes in, and I said, let's beat him up. Funny idea, and it worked. I was really popular. It was great. I just wish he lived long enough to beat someone else up."
Yeah.
Well, he lived longer to beat someone else up.
Fucking hell.
It sounds like a modern Marvel comic. That's what it sounds like.
Really simplistic, really dumb. Like, I do not know what the education level of these characters is going to be. I'm guessing it's very low.
I think we should ask that of the writers.
Yeah. you get the point that he's trying to convey. It's like, this is all cyclical. Eventually, he was going to graduate to the point where he could pick on someone else, and like then he would be
much like pissing on wall line. There is an idea. We're talking about the execution of the idea, which to me is indicative of their shitty dialogue writing. They're not very good at rendering their ideas into dialogue in the show, and I think that is present throughout.
With the pissing on the wall thing, I would interpret that as she is very patronizing towards him because she is an arrogant character who's talking down to him. She's trying to infantilize him because, again, that's the world of this vault where people are not treated with respect that is due to like adult human beings. They're infantilized, and that might be how she would phrase a description like that. Again, it sounds shit to our ears because it's not elegant writing, but it's a creative choice that they've made. You can definitely debate the merits of that for sure. And again, with the Brotherhood of Steel guy, again, I can put that down to him not being a very articulate guy, not being very good at conveying his emotions and his thought processes for things, because he's never really had to interrogate his own thought processes.
Have you got any other scenes in the show you'd cite that as an example?
I mean, off the top of my head, not really. I'm going to need time.
Because the rest of the show, he's perfectly normal.
Normal is a bit of a stretch. Like the whole point, like the part where he gets turned into a ghoul. And a normal person might have a realization of like, oh my god, like my entire like existence has just changed, and I've become this horrifying monster, and eventually I'm going to become a feral zombie. His reaction is more just like, oh man, that's really inconvenient.
His reaction is he can never go back to the Brotherhood of Steel, and he wants to be able to live, and so he makes a deal with Maximus immediately. I don't see how that's outside of normal. Come to think of it, Thaddeus is one of the more normal characters in the entire show.
Yeah.
Once he's had some rat away, it'll be fine.
I mean, he's like I say, like he's a bit blasé about the whole like, you're essentially had a horrifying fate placed on you because of this. He just acts it more like, oh man, it's like my car's got a flat tire or something. Like it's that degree of like exasperation.
He cannot be a part of the Brotherhood of Steel anymore, and he wants to live, so he immediately decides to make a deal to try and save his own life, and then we don't see him again. We don't know how he feels about being a ghoul now.
Yeah, but even the whole like realization of I can't go back to the Brotherhood and I have to make a deal to get out of here, like it's kind of foisted upon him. They prompt him to make that deal. He doesn't.
Yeah, but the Brotherhood is right there. They can see the Brotherhood is coming. He has to do something now, or he's going to be killed.
Yeah, because they tell him that.
Yeah, but he knows that he's a part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah. So
says,
I guess my point.
They don't tolerate ghouls.
Yeah, I guess my point is like he has a very simplistic kind of almost childlike reaction to it.
It's very simple at that point. He is a ghoul. The Brotherhood is coming. He is going to get killed. He needs to get out of there. Whether or not he's having an existential crisis about being a ghoul compared to being a person, that's probably something they'll do in season 2. But right there and then, he needed to get out of there because he's going to get killed.
In season 2, when he magically runs across them in the middle of the
desert.
He'll
randomly bump into something that'll make a story, blah, 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 yeah.
Can we talk about how great Shogun is now, please?
Yeah.
In a second.
Sure. I should probably tell you guys with the poll. So what was it? 3,500 people have voted. So, about a third of our audience right now. So it's 55% yes, Fallout is good, and 45% no, it's not.
Oh, MauLer, you're wrong.
What's the margin of error? What's the margin of error? This is a normal conversation. No, this is really good. I like it.
It was actually 60% in favor of no, and then we had a sudden dump of ballots.
Dump.
Skewed it in favor of yes.
At the radio station, was it all the people like in those traps? Did he call them critics? Did I catch that right? He's all critics. And then there's a bunch of like dead bodies in these traps. I don't know if I missed that or not. If they actually did that, that was pretty funny.
Why didn't he tell him about the trap? He let him use his radio, and he should have went, oh yeah, there's a crossbow there.
Yeah, right. There's a trap with a crossbow. You might want to watch out for that.
Because then you wouldn't get that hilarious scene where he gets a crossbow bolt through his throat and then he realizes that he's not dead.
But you understand, it's incredibly lucky that happened because he's convinced then to give them the head.
Yes.
Like, had that not happened that way, like whenever something retarded happens in the show, just think about its consequences in terms of the writing, and you'll have your answer.
Yeah. Well, MauLer, the chat has proven you wrong, so
I must take the L.
Hey, no, we talked about this,
Hail
Mullen. This is Prey all over again.
I think this is actually Mandalorian. I think season 2 will be as bad or worse. Then season 3 will be so bad everyone gives up.
This is Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy from fucking Westworld, which this show, by the way, followed a lot of beats from Westworld, if you know anything about the show. And yeah, I wouldn't
I have a lot of worries about season 2.
Hold out a lot of hope for season 2.
Is it gonna annoy you, MauLer? Because it does me, where they go, season 2 was terrible, and I'm like, season 1 was terrible.
Yeah, that'll happen. It'll get worse. Trust me, lads. It'll get worse.
And then they go, I can't believe it. What do you mean believe it? We've explained why.
I won't be fucking watching it at that point. I'll be busy with hopefully Arcane will be out and it'll be great.
But you know what? If we all thought the same about every show, God, life would be so boring, wouldn't it?
Well, I think honestly, I've really enjoyed like having a difference of opinion on Open Bar, because it's kind of rare, and so yeah,
indeed.
But as the leader of the bar, I'm just going to overrule MauLer and say that I'm right.
My house, my rules.
Yeah, no, I kid. You know, it's good to hear different points of view.
I do want to watch it again because MauLer has brought up a lot of things that I missed.
We didn't even talk about the vials, the ghoul vials. They all need to not go feral.
There's only so much we could talk about.
Don't add more stuff. I've got a lot to process already.
You know what? You know what might be good? An unbridled rage that might cover this.
No,
that could be an interesting.
Clearly, I wasn't made that angry or anything. I was totally chill.
Totally chill about it. Yeah,
it'll take you about 10 years to make that video. That's
exactly. By the time I
tell you what,
it'll be cancelled.
Since we've been like stricken with division and civil war within the Open Bar, how about I bring us all together by laughing at Disney?
Let's do it.
I think I can make that work. There was an article from Forbes recently, just a couple of days ago, talking about Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm. They paid $4 billion for the company. Sounds like a bargain, right? Well, it turns out they haven't actually even made back the cost of buying the studio yet. It says here, box office profits generated by Disney Star Wars movies have fallen 2.8 billion short of covering the media giant's purchase of the sci-fi saga's creator, Lucasfilm, according to analysis of recently filed financial statements. So they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion back in 2012, and I can't believe it was that long ago, and soon gave the green light to the trilogy of Star Wars movies, blah, blah, blah. They were all crap, pretty much. Anyway, it says
include merchandising rights. Can I just clarify? Did they buy all the merchandising, the toy rights?
I think they might not
they
have,
did.
Actually.
They do. Later in the article, they do, because that was my very first question. It's like,
yeah, Gary, because you know why that is, don't you? Because that's where
they make more money. They make more money on T-shirts and toys and everything else, and licensing the product out. But they do factor that in later.
That's how Lucas made all his money on Star Wars, because he took a low salary cut. But he said to 20th Century Fox, but I have the merchandising rights, please. And they hadn't seen Star Wars figures yet, so they went, "Yeah, okay, George."
They're like, "This is ridiculous." Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, have them.
Well,
and then,
have them, little Georgie.
Millions of pounds.
Well, what I will say is there's quite a lot of fluff, basically, in their financial returns about how they've made money and stuff, but it's all not factoring in the costs of making the film. So it says here, buried in the fine print is the revelation that the purchase price of Lucasfilm isn't even included in the return on investment calculation. Instead, it is purely based on the box office performance of Disney's Star Wars trilogy, its spin-off films, merchandise, whatever. As revealed, the methodology is questionable, as Disney based the return on investment on the revenue generated by the movies and everything else, rather than the profit that they made, as it should have done. Using the revenue rather than the profit artificially inflates the result, as it doesn't factor in the cost that Disney had to pay out, which is $4 billion. Even this wasn't enough for the media giant, so it also forecast the revenue that it expected everything to generate over a 10-year period, and based the calculation on that too. Like, there's fudge in the books, and then there's just straight up making shit up.
I can't wait to see what South Park do with this.
I know. In other words, Disney hasn't actually received the revenue that it used to calculate the return on its investment. In summary, despite seeming to do so, Disney's presentation doesn't actually reveal whether its Star Wars movies have covered the cost of its purchase of Lucasfilm. So basically, it still hasn't made its money back after 12 years.
Damn, man. You would have
Until
thought
those,
Brutal.
with an
until
IP like that, you would have thought you'd be able to do that. But I wonder why they haven't been able to do that. Could
Well,
it
to
be
be
that the
fair-
content's been a bit shit? I
Yeah.
wonder.
Star Wars isn't like a money printer or anything. It's not a very. It's like a piddling little
anymore.
indie franchise.
Never been
for some people.
profitable. No, it's a
Not really,
niche
no.
thing. It's
Yeah,
for
niche.
enthusiasts.
I remember
Well,
telling everyone about it. You know,
You know what's
Star
funny?
Wars.
Is since selling Star Wars to Disney, George Lucas has made more money than Disney on it.
Yeah.
He has.
Yeah.
He fucking
And
has.
the
That's why he
business
voted. He's all, keep everything the same. I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know. So he's doing good.
Do you
Yeah,
wanna
I love how they.
renegotiate the deal, George. No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good. You're all good. No,
Well, what-
that's Hollywood in a nutshell, though. I mean, that's basic Hollywood economics. All these asshole companies who are out there trying to tell us how to live now with their new DEI policies. We all know what they're there for. It's the same with Nike and everything. It's to cover up all the evil shit they do. And some of the stuff that they do, they mentioned the article drinker later on that they're still, so they make these separate corporations in the UK.
Yeah.
So
tax
people won't
purposes.
for tax purposes, and they're still charging stuff to The Force Awakens. They're like literally still charging stuff to that movie, to that
Yeah.
corporation.
Yeah, well, it says here,
Looking at the book.
actually, yeah. So analysis of more of the company filings revealed that the cost of making Disney's 5 Star Wars movies was $2.1 billion, peaking at $567 million for The Force Awakens. However, that's just the start. Mindful of the budget, Disney devised an ingenious way to make money back on the movie. Instead of shooting it in the United States, it chose Pinewood Studios in the UK, where the original trilogy was made. This enabled it to benefit from the UK government's tax credit, which gives studios a cash reimbursement of 25% of the money that they spend on the UK, provided that it represents at least 10% of the film's total costs. So tax credits that they get reimbursed to them just for
They get
making the film in
reimbursed.
the UK.
And they can keep just funneling money in and saying, well, you know, it really wasn't that profitable. And then they could like not pay out residuals or not, or just stop, you know, like all the writers like Alan Dean Foster went through this a couple of years ago. He's just stopped getting his residual checks because they don't give a shit. And they're not making a ton of money off this. They should be like, I'm sure the action figure sales for The Force Awakens were great. And I'm sure they made a lot of money. But that has deteriorated a lot now to where people don't. I can't wait for those Acolyte action figures. Those will be selling out everywhere.
Can't wait to see them in bargain bins everywhere. It'll be a roast Tico all over again.
I know, right? But yeah, they haven't made money, but Bob Iger's this big genius. And, you know, it's the fans who have been saying all along, you know, like you said, Lance, it's a bit shit. It's a bit shit.
Yeah.
And now we're in apathy. We're in pure apathy.
I've got to say this about the Acolyte as well, if I may, Drinker.
You may.
It takes years for someone in the industry to build up a certain level of production confidence with credits, writing, directing, producing, a mixture of some of those, as well as learning some of the technical skills, you know, that just happen on a set. And for someone to sort of walk in to Disney / Star Wars IP and be given their own show, carte blanche, when they've got almost no history of that level of experience behind them, you have to ask why that happened, okay? And why somebody else who's been grafting away in the industry. I know loads of people that are that would die to direct a Star Wars film, myself included. It doesn't mean that we'd get to make the Star Wars film we want to make, but I know lots of people that would be qualified to do that job, and they would produce good content. How is it that someone has walked in the door and been given a show like that with that level of experience? Why? You have to ask why. Okay. I'm not going to give the answer to that question. I'm going to throw that out to the panel.
This stuff is rife throughout Lucasfilm and Marvel, and we know exactly why. The people that they choose always belong to certain protected demographics. We know this. It doesn't matter about their experience. It doesn't matter about their talent. It doesn't matter about their actual interest in the source material. None of that stuff matters. It's just all that matters is getting them in there and making them do stuff, having them produce things.
Did you see the thing about Star Wars Outlaws where they were like, "This is the first time a woman will be the protagonist in a Star Wars video game" or something?
Oh
Like,
my!
what the
Did
fuck?
they
Have you
say that?
forgotten? Like, yeah, you completely forgot the other time.
I honestly thought we'd finally gotten past that. It's like you've covered every possible permutation of everything. Every minority, every group has done everything in entertainment
Well,
at
that's
this
the thing
point,
with-
and you can't have a first of anymore, but they
Yeah.
still have.
Reflecting on the
first Star Wars
directors,
is
right?
it's a three-hander. The first Star Wars is a three-hander. It's a love triangle. Leia, Luke, Han Solo. They all pretty much get equal screen time. Maybe Luke gets a little bit more. So how is this the first
Well, I
female?
think they said-
But I think MauLer's even talking about the video game side of
Yeah,
things.
which
Battlefront.
Battlefront 2 already beat them to the punch, right? The,
I'm not so
Yeah, she's
familiar with the
diverse
remake
as
of
well.
that.
So she beat them on 2 counts.
So, well, and of course, to reflect it back to what you're just talking about, it's a matter of like it does apparently get them points to be able to market that way, to be like, look at who we have. Because you know, like the Marvels, for example, it's like we have to have a woman direct that. It would be bad if we didn't. It would look bad if we didn't. It's like, why? It's like because it's the woman movie. It's like, what?
Yes.
Like, what? Shouldn't you get who's best suited? It's like, no.
That's bigoted talk, MauLer. You can't think like that.
Well, it's funny too because it doesn't help these people. I don't think to be like we know from Black Widow, right, that there were certain people. I can't remember the name of the director. But she was brought
Kate
on.
Shortland.
Yeah, and then told like you'll be doing this, and she's like, what?
More, you won't be doing this.
Yeah,
you,
Rob.
you
Yeah.
won't be
Well,
directing any of the effects or the fight scenes. And she's like, well, that's half the fucking movie.
Well, Nia DaCosta, like straight up saying we were shooting a whole bunch of scenes that I had no fucking clue what they were for or how they fit into the movie.
Didn't
Like you're the director. It's your job to know these things. But like they wouldn't have cared.
the thing is, didn't Bob Iger say she didn't have enough supervision? Like
Supervision.
Apparently, yeah.
is that just real? That's the worst of both worlds, where she has full control and she doesn't know what's going on. It's like, oh, God.
Because she's done some good stuff on television, but you need to have a bridge between doing a couple of episodes of something like Top Boy before leaping into a $300 million Marvel film. You want to do an indie film or two where you're directing the helm, maybe one that's got some special effects in, and then you leap into a big effects
Yeah.
franchise. That's too big a leap for any director at that level. You get sink or swim, and you're probably going to drown.
It's
That's
like
why we're
taking
getting
someone.
this kind of stuff.
It's like taking someone who ran like a little fucking coffee shop in a small village or something, and then making them the head of a Fortune 500 company. Like they're not going to be able to just move into that role.
I mean, it's great that people are getting opportunities that they didn't get before. That is good. I'm all for that. But look at people's resumes and ask who is the best person for this job. And I just don't think we're just not doing that anymore in the film industry. We're just not.
Star Wars is now a toxic brand. So, like, if you're a director and you've got any experience, you know you're going to get fucked with.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy are going to come in and just change a story. So anyone who's actually good and wants to do something won't be able to.
Well, I mean, that's why we heard the rumors of all the infighting with the guy that directed the movie Swingers. Sorry, his name's gone out of my head. Who did Mandalorian. Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot. It was all those stories were going through the industry, my end, every week, that there was fighting on the show about what was going to be in it and what wasn't. And I kind of wonder what kind of show we were going to get. I was amazed it was as good as it was.
So all you're going to get is people who are willing to be controlled because it's their big break.
Yeah,
that's all you're going to get.
Yeah, you're not going to take it. No one's going to take any risks. Sorry, Gary.
No, it's all good. Because it's produced. That's all. It's producers running the show now. A director is, with TV it's different, but with a film it's the same thing. You have too many producers, too many cooks in the kitchen who aren't really creative at all, and they want. By the way, diversity. It's casting. It's not hiring. Is a very cheap and easy way to control somebody, so you don't your budgets don't get out of control with hiring directors. They certainly get out of control with like reshooting your movie twice. But
how's Captain America 4 doing?
Hey, it's going to reset the MCU with a bunch of without a Captain America in it. It's a Captain America movie without Captain America.
I want them to release all three. Release all of them. Do it, cowards.
And President Ross is probably going to be a Trump stand-in. So.
I actually really have enjoyed this time where we haven't had any Marvel movies come out. It's been
Yeah.
nice.
It's been
Yeah.
nice.
It's been
Yeah,
a
we
nice
can
little
talk about-
vacation.
We can talk about desert planets, the giant lizards, or post-apocalypse worlds. We don't have to deal with Marvel. Isn't that great?
I would quite happily never see another superhero film again. Honestly, I've had there's so
I'm
many.
kind of at that point. Like,
Yeah,
Isn't that sad though? Like
It is sad, but they should have drip fed us every few years. You know, like when the Star Wars films were originally released, build up a big audience for the next one. Not like 5 or 6 in 2 years. It was just saturation overload. And also
yeah, more, and it's not sad because it's like giving me a chocolate cake fucking 3 times a day, and the cake itself gets increasingly shit as time passes.
That's
yeah,
not
I'm
the
gonna
sad
end
part.
up hating it.
the sad part is Lad saying he doesn't want to see a superhero movie like ever again, which is
I mean, can't I ask you guys, particularly Gary, who, you know, look at the wall behind him. He's obviously a big superhero guy. Didn't you find in the last few films the over CGI fights? Didn't you just find them? They just got boring because there seemed to be no real stakes, because most of the time none of the main characters are going to get killed, or even if they do, they're probably going to come back again soon in some sort of resurrection deal or whatever. So you just kind of feel that the fights just start getting pointless because there's no real tension, because they don't really mean anything, and it's just loads more CGI.
Yeah, it's gobbledygook. It turned into gobbledygook. You know, superhero storytelling is supposed to be different genres. That's what, you know, sci-fi, action, noir, and it just turned it into a Disney film, a Disney product, and it's pretty sad because it is sad because they had a lot of great comics they could have adapted if they kept Iron Man and Captain America alive. That could have taken them out for the next 10 years, even if they recast them, which would have still been tough. But, you know, Bond survived. They could have done it. But no, they wanted to rush into the freaking MCU. And now they have to stop everything. And we're having to rely on Deadpool 3, which is, it could be good. It could be crap. I mean, like, I have no idea. It's going to be a gimmick film, though.
It's not emblematic of
the
it's not emblematic of the MCU. It's just its own thing, and it's kind of a holdover from a different time in filmmaking.
When was the first Deadpool movie out? Because I think that was like the last
16, 17.
I think that was the last one I really enjoyed, was the first Deadpool.
I love the first one.
Yeah, that was
love
probably
that
the last superhero movie I thought was really good.
Who could have guessed that Deadpool was the only thing Marvel had left?
I know. And they had to buy freaking Fox. They had to spend $72 billion.
There's serendipity in that title, I think.
Oh, they're never going to get out from under that one. That was even financial analysts, you know, at the time were like, "This is a really bad move. This is not good."
I mean, they had a massive backlog, a back catalog of franchises that they could have exploited in theory, but they haven't done it.
No,
give them time.
We got
we had Prey. Yeah,
we got Prey.
Alien Romulus is on the way.
Alien Romulus will probably be. No, it's Alien 1. What's Alien 1.5? MauLer.
Yeah,
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that one. Maybe it won't be totally terrible. It might be the next best one after 1 and 2. Maybe we'll see.
I sure do hope so.
Listen.
You know what we need? We need an alien that like is fucking awesome. That's what we need. We need a movie that would be really brilliant. Yeah.
But also characters that don't just constantly do stupid things as well would, you know, that's have some intelligent.
You need smart writers. And I think the good of the strikes, like having Hollywood, is we'll get less like woke garbage or just we'll get normal garbage, but we might get some better stuff out of it. I don't think it's coming from superhero films or anything, which sucks because this is what I was worried about in the beginning. Is like, I like genre. That's my jam. I like all kinds of genre, fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes, and that they're all going to suffer because of this. And we're not going to get any, and they're going to go back to action films, which I'm fine with. But they've made, like Lance said, they've made me sick of freaking superhero films. Disney made me hate comic books. Like their modern comics made me hate modern comic books. I never thought that would ever happen in my life.
Yeah, that must be pretty difficult, Gary.
It sucks, but I'll carry on, you know. I'll read my old comic books.
I was saying, does anyone think wokeness is going away? Or do you think it's an election year? And so they're kind of putting the brakes on for a little bit? Because when Trump comes in, it'll just go full on 2016.
I've definitely noticed a difference in the television drama content. Some of the stuff I've seen recently, it definitely has diminished a little bit.
I think they know that the winds are changing.
Yep.
And I think they're starting to change course accordingly.
But the companies are infested with these people. So, like, they're just waiting for their moment. Like, budgets are down. It's an election year. I think they go, we know we have to basically hibernate for a little bit. Then we'll come back out.
It'll never go away.
Yeah.
It's not a war that you'll ever win.
Rebrand, go underground, be a little more subtle.
It's always going to be a constant pendulum swing one way or the other.
Could we still, like, maybe a studio wakes up one day, hey, let's not do what Disney's doing, and that could happen. That would be great. I won't say what the issue is, but the corporation that owns YouTube had sit-in protests in their building, like in the CEO's office, which is crazy. They all got fired, by the way.
They all got fired and arrested.
Yeah. Like,
sorry, what did they
protest? The wolf you let in the door. That's the wolf they let in the door. Like,
what were they protesting? Oh, sorry, I missed all that.
Some conflict in the Middle East, something like that.
Okay.
They thought it was cool to go into their CEO's office, and they thought they were, they have a right to free speech, but they do not have a right to disrupt business. So they all got canned. But what Reaper was mentioning was that's every corporation now. Yeah. That's every company, and you have to carve that out somehow. I don't know how that happens. I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to see the rise of the independent film. I'm hoping we're going to see more strong content from smaller studios. Sound of Freedom would be a good example of one film that was made on a tiny budget by a relatively small studio, purchased by a bigger distributor who then left it on a shelf for absolutely ages. But, I think people want to see just better made stories, better made films and stuff where people aren't afraid to take risks, more original content,
Well,
rather than this.
Next week, we got Velma season 2. So that's not going to happen.
Thanks, man. Thanks for reminding me about that. Now I need therapy.
I'm going to fucking rely on you to review that one, man, because I don't think my constitution can take it.
I'm going to enjoy this.
Got a second season. How did that get a second season? Wasn't it like one of the worst rated things on YouTube ever?
I think season 2 was filmed at the same time as season 1.
Yeah, they commissioned 2.
Oh, was it? Okay. All right.
So this isn't something that's been worked on since then, or anything.
She's going to mention all the hate she got. She's going to break the fourth wall about 50 times and go at us and go, "You pieces of shit," and directly to us.
Yeah, it's still got a 1.6 rating on IMDb, 1.6. And IMDb can be easily manipulated, and it's still only got a rating of 1.6. So,
It was legit one of the most foul, unpleasant products of human endeavor that I've ever encountered. And I'm from Scotland. It's just...
That's a great quote. Can you put that on a t-shirt, please?
But legit, like there was nothing. Like I don't see how anyone could have derived entertainment from Velma, and so it's impressive.
Sorry, I was going to say we had She-Hulk like 3 months before it. How could we have 2 and then Cleopatra? We had like the worst.
Dude.
Yeah.
It was Velma, Cleopatra, Rings of Power, Willow. Like all of those came out in like a 7-month period. It was
the Witcher show was Blood Origin, right?
Blood Origin. We had Blood Origin. Remember, like we started the year with Santa Inc. Remember Santa Inc?
Yeah.
Velma feels like the spiritual successor to Santa Inc. Honestly,
it does. It does, and it got a sequel. And out of all the stuff I've seen, I've not seen that much contempt for the source material. And it's fucking Scooby-Doo. Who hates Scooby-Doo?
They made everyone hate Scooby-Doo.
I guess. Well, she does.
Well, yeah, certainly the makers of the show hated it.
Season 2 of Rings of Power is in the can and coming your way soon.
Oh, yeah.
It's meant to be coming out this year, and we still haven't had a trailer.
So it's all been. I've got a friend who was in it. It's all been shot. He took over from one of the other actors in one of the main.
So can I ask you, were there reshoots because they supposedly finished Principal a year ago?
Well, I asked him about that, and he said that it was one of the smoothest shoots he'd ever been on. So
Really?
Right.
he said he had a really good time. It was a really smooth shoot, a really, really fun crew. And
So what took it a year to like get to the
I mean,
editors?
he may have been on the reshoots because he took over the role from another actor. I can tell you who after, and why.
I probably can guess, but
not on a live stream, but I can tell you. I can get into that later, Gary. With you if you want.
I was told that like it just got to the editors, like just got to the editors.
Okay, I think it's been in post. No, that's not true. It's been in post. It's been in post for at least 2 months. I think.
So it's been in post for 2 months. So they finished principal before the strike.
Yes, I believe so.
Before the actor strike, not the writer strike, the actor strike. They were filming through the actor strike.
Yeah.
But they had finished. So it's not quite a year. It's 10 months ago.
Yeah.
So they just got it to the editors 2 months ago. Like, what the hell were they doing?
Well, they went off trail, Gary. They went off trail.
And they must have.
Don't go off trail, you know.
Yeah.
I listen, and MauLer, in case you're wondering, no, I didn't like Rings of Power. I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, both of the book and the films, the original films.
It was funny. You say that. Out of all the people that came up in that weird Woke Bros video, one of the first things he says in the coverage is like, they're not real Tolkien fans. They say this to like, and I was just like,
Look, I sat through
because I'm
all of
literally
them.
reading the Fellowship of the Ring now. Like I was reading it earlier tonight, so yeah.
Lord of the Rings wall right over here.
I saw all 3 special editions at the cinema back to back in one go, and it was the first time Return of the King Extended had ever been shown in the UK.
hey.
Packed out with people dressed as
That's
hobbits
awesome.
and bringing in pizzas. It was nuts, but you got to be a fan to do that, and I did it twice. So
Well, that's the thing. If you were to say all these things to these people, they'd be like, "Yeah, you just do that because you just pretend and like you pretend to read all, pretend to like."
Yeah, I pretend to have the Blu-ray and the DVD box set and the original.
I pretend to
DVD.
watch it like once every couple months.
Yeah,
you know?
I pretend to watch it every Christmas.
Have either the audiobook or the book at the ready for pretty much all the time.
I like that.
totally
You sit down, you put it on, you're like, no one will know. Like,
right? Oh god.
You just sit there for 3 hours looking at a dark screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Well, it's not just that. The Witcher is getting renewed as well, isn't it?
They technically
that
canceled
today.
it. They technically canceled it. I love God, I'm
Did
forgetting
they?
his name.
It's
They
a
said they've
spin-off.
got plans for season 5, and I thought there's no fucking way that season 5 is going to happen.
Well, it was supposed to get 7 seasons. So they announced it today. They did a table read, and Forbes did the headline. So I might have to use that for Friday Night Tights. But he's all basically Witcher gets canceled on day they announce Hemsworth or whatever, Dime Store Hemsworth. Because they announced a season 4 and 5, but that's it. It's done. So how many episodes? I'm gonna guess 6 each. I'm gonna guess 6 each.
You're being generous.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. You almost feel bad for the other actors and for Hemsworth too. He's like walking in there for this table read, and he's got it in his head that like
Does funeral music play?
It should. That is a dead show walking. It is done. Nobody's gonna care.
I'm sure he's looking at his paycheck and just checking.
Yeah, he probably got a good one.
In his, bank account in the Caymans. I'm sure it's all good.
I'm sure he's done all right out of it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure the show's gonna be fine without Henry there to keep it.
It's okay though. Henry's got his Warhammer thing that he's doing, and that brings me neatly along to my final thing that I wanted to talk about, because he might not want to be part of it after this. So
I'm keen to hear this, being someone who played Warhammer when I was a kid. So I'm kind of keen to hear this story because I haven't heard this story yet. So
so how can I summarize this briefly? So are any of you guys familiar with the world of Warhammer 40k? Because
I've read about it.
So Lance does. He knows about it.
I used to have a battalion of Ultramarines. I've probably got a photograph of them somewhere. I sold them on eBay a long time ago, and I had some Eldar and Eldar tanks. But
Nice.
Then I decided to play World War II miniatures because it was historical and that it had less spiky bits, and you didn't have to roll 50 dice every time you fired a gun. So it was more fun.
So the high level view is that it's set in this grim, dark, horrific future, the 41st millennium, where humanity is just fighting constant wars to survive against alien races. It's all very metal and it's all very cool. And the preeminent face of Games Workshop of Warhammer has always been the Space Marines. They are the superhuman, genetically engineered warriors that take the fight to the enemy, and they're like freaking 8 feet tall. They weigh like 400 pounds each. They're barely even identifiable as human. But anyway, one of the tenets of them is that they're all male. They're called
Chapters.
they're referred to as the Brotherhood of Warriors, and like they've always been that way. It's all throughout the lore. But it's present day, don't you know? It's current year, and there's been this growing push to have female ones. Doesn't make any sense, and it contradicts everything that's been part of the lore. But it's that faction of people within the hobby have always they've always been pushing for it, and they've been growing in recent years, and they've just started to give way. Games Workshop, the company that manages Warhammer, they've started to bend the knee, and so you've got this like group within the Space Marines called the Adeptus Custodes. They're like the elite. They're the
Emperor's
guys who
bodyguard.
they guard the Emperor of mankind. They are more powerful than Space Marines even. They're that special. And in their latest edition of their rulebook, they've decided now that there's female versions of them as well.
Drink it, here you go. Here's one of them.
Oh, here we go.
Found-
Yeah. Lore accurate version right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they put this out, and people saw the latest rulebook and started to question it, naturally, as you do, saying, what's this all about? We've never had female versions of this before. And so Games Workshop responded on Twitter by saying, in regards to female custodians, there have always been female custodians since the first of the 10,000 were created. And also, we've always been at war with East Asia. So this was their mentality of, we're just going to pretend that it's always been like this, and we're going to gaslight everyone who questions us into believing the same, which I thought was kind of hilarious, because someone here summed it up perfectly by saying, imagine trying to gaslight a fan base so autistic that they count the number of rivets on power armor to determine its sub-pattern, and who have such a long memory that they point out inconsistencies between books that were printed decades apart. I think that's a perfect way of summing it up. The thing is, it's all exactly what you get with any hobby. It's the cycle of diversity, where you get people coming in saying, nice hobby you've got there. Can you change this thing to accommodate us? No, you're excluding people. Now we're going to exclude you. Why can't you just go and create a new hobby? And it just becomes that cycle. And we're currently in phase 1 of that. The problem is they've bent the knee already. They've started to change things. And all that's going to happen now is they're going to demand more things get changed, and more things, and it'll never stop. And it's a sad thing to see.
Well, they've always wanted to sell out. They've tried this numerous times, but the fan base is specifically like old dudes. I mean, younger guys are in it now, but like it had a very, very strong fan base, and it's trying to widen up. It's already trying to make like video games. It's trying to prepare for like a major release, so it's like everywhere. So the problem is, it's how lazy they are. They just went, oh yeah, it's just the way it is. It's always been that way, which is incredibly lazy. But what's even funnier is that you don't know this, but the Custodes engage in something called the Blood Games every month. And you're like, well, the women now. So it just means they bleed once a month.
The thing is, right, because there's two reasons why this has always seemed silly, right? One is that the lore specifically says, right, and I hate to be like that guy, but it's like, well, actually, to create a Custodes or to create a Space Marine, you have to go through all kinds of like genetic enhancements. They fucking sew additional organs into your body, all kinds of crazy stuff that radically alters your appearance. And it's all of that stuff is only compatible with male physiology. That is like first and foremost. That's the only people that it'll work on. If you tried to do it on a woman, it would just kill her, and the whole procedure would fail. That's the lower reason. The more practical, like common sense reason is only the top fraction of a percent of the human population could even be considered as candidates for this. You have got to be the toughest, most resilient, most aggressive, most mentally and physically capable person that you could that you can possibly find to even be considered for it, which kind of rules women out. Like, so they're not the biggest, the toughest, the strongest. And so there's never been a reason. A tiny fraction of a percent, and so they're never going to qualify for it anyway. And so for all those reasons, Space Marines have always been men. That's just the thing. It makes sense, and the lore backs it up. But now it's all just been changed because it's current year, and so
they have. Sorry, I was going to say they have gendered. Like, it's not like women are excluded. You've got the Sisters of Battle, the Sisters of Silence. You've got the Imperial Guard. And we all know what it is. They just go, we want gender, we want women in these things because you have them.
Yes. It's
like
about knocking down another barrier, smashing another glass ceiling, just taking another thing and saying, ha, we have this now. And it's the people who are advocating for it, like, and I'm not even going to say it's female Warhammer players, because I would be willing to bet the majority of them don't even want this.
No,
they're probably perfectly happy with the way the hobby's set up already. There was actually, I wish I could have found it. There was a great tweet that got like thousands of likes from a woman who said, I've been into this hobby for like 10 years or more. I don't want this crappy pandering. It's nonsense and it's really infantilizing and insulting. Not going to be buying any more of your products. I'm just going to 3D print all your figurines and pirate all your rule books. And I just thought, you fucking boss. That's perfect. It's perfect way to look at it.
These people aren't inclusive because they're pushing away people like her for people who aren't even fans.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that always go away. If you don't like it, do something else. Go away, get out. No one else on this side says that.
That's bang on. I mean, look, the thing is, there's always been female factions within the world of the 40k universe. I mean, I had the first and second edition rulebooks. I just went outside to see if I could find it. I think it's in the shed. But there were female Eldar fairly early on. I remember them in the illustrations, and I think it was like the second rulebook. You know, they had the big breasty chest plates. It was all very heavy metal magazine and everything. But they were there, and they were fierce warriors. So if you're going to do a TV show within an existing IP, you can take the things that already exist in it, and you can have your boss female characters. They're already there. You don't need to change the stuff that already works, that has a whole history line to satisfy your current agenda.
Yours.
The thing that I find really, and the thing that I find really annoying as well, is that people try to make the excuse of, well, Warhammer lore has always been contradictory and there's been a million retcons, and so like you can't really put faith in anything. And that's bullshit, and it's a complete misrepresentation of what Warhammer lore is.
Yeah, it is.
What it's been like is more like a telescope, right? That's looking at something and gradually comes into focus, right? In the early days, it was very unfocused, and there was a lot of details missing because the writers just hadn't filled in the gaps yet, and they intentionally left things vague. Over the decades, they have filled it in to such an extent with books, with articles, with rule books, with video games, that it's a really deep, really fleshed out universe with a shit ton of lore that you could spend years sifting through. That now has been filled in. Yeah, there's still scope for like changing things here or there or expanding certain things here and there, but the lore now is set. And to pretend like, oh, well, it's actually more like a chessboard where you can just move pieces around here, there, and everywhere and reconfigure it to whatever you want, that's bullshit. Like, that time has passed, and it's long since passed. That's what's annoying. Like, that's not a fucking satisfactory explanation for stuff like this.
If they do a TV show right to that IP, it will make an absolute fortune. But if they do it wrong, it will proper get ripped apart and die on its arse. And I mean, you don't need, it's not rocket science to know that, you know, because it has a very particular type of fan base. You only need to go into a Games Workshop and look at people playing around the table. I was just at Salute, which is the UK's biggest gaming convention once a year, April. And, you know, we have that kind of demographic there. And it is a lot more mixed than it used to be. But the people there will tell you they don't want this. They don't want these kinds of changes. They'll tell you that. And everybody of every gender that's already in the hobby will tell you that. That they don't want this lore messed with.
Sorry. Henry Cavill's favorite faction is the Custodies. Do you think he went, I don't feel like playing because you're going to put a pair of tits on me? That's what I think.
Is he no longer involved then? Is that what's happening? He's walked off the project, is he, or something? Or
I think he's got problems. I think he's still involved.
He's still involved.
He's still involved.
Yeah.
I like this one from Joe Leffler, who said the amount of cringe, pervy, muscle mommy, stodes art, fan art, and posts that have come out in the past week is unbelievable. I'm sure that's exactly the environment that will attract more women to the hobby.
Well, I was going to say, like, anybody who makes the claim that I want to see more women, so like, the whole I see myself thing, I'm always just like, does it actually work? We've had a long time of this now. Do you actually end up going, you know what, I hated Star Wars, now I love it, or I hated Star Trek, now I love it, or do these franchises get left in the dirt? Like, what have we seen happen?
Well, and as well, like, do women really want to see themselves represented as 8 foot tall, 400-pound genetically engineered psychopathic killing machines?
Maybe.
Probably not, really.
There's one or two out there.
It's not meant to be empowering. These things are not even human in the normal sense.
I think I dated one of those a few years ago, Drinker.
Yeah, well,
I'm waiting to meet the girl who says, man, I didn't like that franchise at all, but as soon as they made a bunch of, like, it's Ghostbusters, I didn't like that, but as soon as they made them all women, man, I was so into it. It's like, that doesn't happen.
The people who play it, the girls who play Warhammer, like all 5 of them, like, they are into it because of the lore as it exists. And I would imagine that they don't need it to be changed to accommodate them, because there's already a shit, like as Lance said, there's already literally an entire army called the Sisters of Battle who are there. They're all female. If that's really your thing anyway, you can get that. You can get your female representation there. There's a bunch of female characters. There's female Eldar and stuff. It's all there. But the people that are pushing for this don't even care about the hobby. They don't care about the lore.
About the hobby, lore, anything.
Yeah.
No,
these are people who want to deconstruct the hobby and turn it into their vision.
And they're like locusts, move on to another hobby to destroy because they don't give a shit. So it either dies or they take it over. Either way, they win, right?
Well, what's funny?
They lose if we tell them to fuck off.
Well, they're going, why aren't the space racists inclusive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to kill other aliens and stuff, but I can't do it unless I've got tits.
I think this is the thing that Games Workshop have always struggled with. It's like Warhammer 40k doesn't really lend itself to the idea of like the happy, clappy, progressive, inclusive DEI mindset that you want to push into movies and stuff nowadays. It's literally the polar opposite of that. But the thing is, it's not meant to be an aspirational world.
No.
Like you're not meant to look at the Imperium of Man and think, oh yeah, that's how I want to live. Like literally a horrible totalitarian military dictatorship, and like that keeps the human race subjugated and literally just exists to fight endless wars. It's not a good place. Was that?
I was going to say it's religious zealotry, which they hate.
And religion,
tons of Catholicism. And it's also like everyone's about to die. That's the whole point. It's 5 minutes from midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't they eradicate fairies? We have to give them points for that.
I mean, that I can get behind for sure.
Yeah.
No, the fairies are going to take over. If Games Workshop submits, the Emperor is going to be a big teddy bear on the throne.
I did see an LGBT patterned Space Marine chapter. Like all the armor was painted as the color of the pride flags, and I just thought, wow, that's where the hobby is now. Well done.
Yeah,
it's like quality.
I think you've missed the point of what the Warhammer universe is. Like,
I'm cool with someone doing that on the tabletop if that's what they want to do, and that's their set of figures. That's up to them.
Sure, yeah, I guess, but it got featured in White Dwarf, which makes me think like, oh, okay, like this is what you want to highlight.
But
really?
the Space Marines don't have sex, so why would they put gay on? They don't have sex.
They would be better represented by Slaanesh, I imagine, or
That's you have,
Siege.
Yeah, because the Space Marines are basically they're bred for war. That's all they do.
Yeah.
You know, there's no holosuites for them. Do you know what I mean? It's you go to sleep, you get up, you get your gun, and you go into battle, and you come back, and maybe you rise up in rank, and that's really your life. And I mean, I don't even play WarTK anymore because I just got fed up with them rinsing me for money every few years, every time they did a new edition of the rules. But if they're
Man, I'm old enough to remember when the figures were made of lead.
yeah,
And,
they
like,
were a lot better.
They were. You needed to remortgage your house if you wanted to buy an army on that shit.
Well, you know, tell me about it. But I just think that they're shooting themselves to spite their own face here. If they do this IP wrong, it will be one of the biggest disasters ever. But it could be brilliant. It could be amazing. And there was almost a Death Hulk. You know, the Space Hulk. Do you remember Space Hulk? It was kind of a 40k spin-off board game that was a bit like Aliens. I don't know if you know, but that got developed as a television series. They even built a set. I got to visit it. They did a trailer for it and everything. This is like one of the many shows that gets developed that you never get to see because it gets to the starting gate and then for whatever reason the finance falls apart. And this is not the first time they've tried to do a Warhammer 40k show. This would be about attempt number 20 to get finance to do a Warhammer 40k based television series. And Space Hulk was the first attempt, and it was really close. They got to doing it.
The thing is to properly realize it is going to be insanely expensive because every shot is going to have VFX in it. Like the world that these people inhabit bears no relation to planet Earth or anything.
Once you've built the 3D models and done the renderings of let's say the various space fleets, it's like pieces in a cabinet. You've got them. You can put them in a 3D space and you can move them around. So once you've created that stock, you have it for the rest of your shows.
You're also filming Space Marines with normal people and at different heights.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. You've got a lot of, and then you've got like Ogrins. You've got like mutated humans.
They need to keep.
There's going to be squats as well, isn't there? They're going to fucking put squats in it.
Yeah,
I want to address this one as well. Custodians don't go through the gene seed process. That is not strictly true. The actual process that custodians go through, and I can't believe I fucking know this. It's never explicitly stated in lore. It's kept intentionally shrouded. But given the fact that they're even bigger than Space Marines, they have to have gene seed in them. They have to have gone through that similar process, just beefed up. But yeah,
they're also taken when they're babies, aren't they? I think it's either babies or before they're born.
Yeah,
Space Marines to take them when they're kids.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, they are.
So
they've got hatcheries for them as well. Yeah. Later in the game, there's like hatcheries where they, a bit like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, literally.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you can assume like whatever rigorous process the Space Marines go through, it's even more intense than that for the Custodians. So these.
When COVID happens, that's what made GW get like their sales went up like 500-fold, and then because and now they're ready to sell out. They went, we're more profitable than we've ever been. Amazon, we're getting an Amazon TV show. We're getting a game that's coming out. We're trying to make it as accessible to everyone, and then sell it. Well, not accessible, but more acceptable to Hollywood. We're gonna get it, and we're gonna sell out. That's the plan.
Well, you know who owns over 10% of the company now?
Vanguard or BlackRock?
Both. Yeah. Funny that, isn't it?
I knew it.
It's fucking every time, man. Just saying.
Which one? Yes.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, like round about the time that their share price was starting to dip after COVID abated, suddenly they got a massive infusion of investment capital from BlackRock and Vanguard at the same time. And around about the same time, they started to push stuff like this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, they're more than willing to sell out. They've just got such a hardcore fan base that they've resisted quite a lot because they've been dependent on them. But if they can get that money from games and Hollywoods and films and stuff, they don't need them. Everyone who's collected armies, spent thousands, they can say fuck you to them. And that's their plan.
Well, if you're a 40k fan, fight tooth and nail against this one because this is the crack in the dam. I hate to be like throwing in all these tired metaphors, but that's like the thin edge of the wedge, and it's just going to get worse from here. So if you value your hobby, I would push back against this while you still can. Lord of the Rings fans did it with Rings of Power. You guys can do it now. I can't do it for you, that's for sure.
Do you remember the interview for Rings of Power? And he went, second season, we've got more battles.
Yeah.
Because that was the problem, wasn't it?
That was the issue, yeah.
That was the issue, obviously.
We've got more Galadriel and more ice trolls.
Do you think they'll make it less annoying? Or do you think it should be even more insufferable?
More.
I think they'll try and tone her down. I don't think they'll succeed. No, I don't think they'll succeed, but they'll try.
Horribly miscast in that role. She is terrible. They couldn't have help a worse person to play Galadriel. Like
she'll help a goat and then kick it to death.
Yeah.
And they'll go, what? She helped a goat?
And she'll scream about, there is a goat in me. Oh, actually, that sounds really fucking weird. Think about it.
Battles with characters that we don't care about with no stakes are meaningless. You know
yeah.
I mean? Rather have a fight
I want to see
we care about.
I want to see Isildur come back just so he can be even more of a bitch. Like, this is the guy that fucking defeats Sauron and cuts the ring from his hand. And he's a pussy.
Oh, yeah, he got, like, left behind.
His sister was more important.
Thing is, I knew he was a pussy. He looks like a pussy from the very first moment I laid eyes on him. That's a pussy. He's soft. He's weak. He's a victim. How is this guy going to defeat Sauron?
He got left behind, and a woman is going to find him and teach him, like, how to fight and how to... She'll show him the way. She'll show him the way.
Okay.
I want to do this one as well. This is $100 super chats. Ooh. Says the First Sisters of Silence are in ways more powerful than Custodians because they are all psychic blanks. That is true, yes. So if you're a psyker, then it's not nice to be in their presence. The Space Marines have tons of recruits die during the training. That is also true. Some recruits come from worlds so harsh that they are labeled death worlds and still don't make it.
Yeah,
that's how harsh the training is to become a Space Marine. Like, out of the fraction of a percent of the population who are eligible, a fraction of a percent actually succeed in the training. So it's a pretty horrific process. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not for girls because they're
girls
they're
not allowed.
Yeah,
you just got that on the Space Marine ships.
No girls.
No
cooties.
Big pillow fort just going, get out. This is our treehouse. But that's the same with The Witcher. The Witcher, only young, strong boys can survive the mutations, and most of them die. And then they go, oh no, don't worry, fucking anyone can pass.
But it's this refusal to accept that, like, guys are probably bigger and stronger and more robust than you. Like, I know it's hard. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but as I say to Tatiana every Saturday, swallow it, you must. Because it is the truth of your existence.
Good Lord.
I don't think the 300 movie would get made now, would it? The 300 movie.
No.
I
mean, to be fair, I could handle seeing like a bunch of buff girls going into battle with barely any armor.
Cool. Yeah, where's the old female remake of 300? Come on, guys.
There's actually a lot of those. They're very short films. They're on our website.
Yeah,
independent films.
But still, I'm all about the build-up.
But you know, they'd all be like Bearkers. They'd just be head to toe. You couldn't see anything from them but the eyes. And all the men are naked next to them.
Yeah. Let's do a few super chats.
But that was in Fallout Dead Quick. Remember, she has sex with the guy on the wedding night. She's in her wedding dress and he's bare ass.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
That was odd.
Oh, is the Brotherhood of Steel all brothers? Is it all dudes? Or is there women?
Yeah, no, it is in the show. I think no, there's
they've got
there's women.
There's girls.
Yeah, one of your paladins in Fallout 4 is a woman.
There were a couple of children as well in the one shot.
Most of the people are born into it, so they actually breed in the place. And Maximus is going, what's my cock for?
Yeah. And some of them like aren't male or female. They're like indeterminate, I suppose, based on the TV show. So
and they get promoted. DEI in the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah. You were so cowardly that you literally shredded your own leg to get out of going into the field, but now you're promoted. Like, oh, okay, cool. I respect that.
I thought I was trying to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, self-harming. the tranny self-harm.
It's such a retarded fucking way to hurt yourself. It's so funny.
I mean,
Whoops.
like breaking your leg or something would probably be easier, I guess.
There's so many more viable ways to do it, but it's like, oh, I did realize there was a razor blade in my boot.
A whole razor blade in my boot.
Yeah. I never kind of understood the psychology behind that, I will admit. I thought that just seemed a bit odd.
But they didn't even reach in. They were literally at the very top of the shoe. She could have reached in went, "Oh, there's a laser blade."
And she could have also just like sprained her ankle and you know, razor blade in the foot is a pretty painful way to get out of
pretty
airship.
painful. Yeah.
And she's like crippled now for the rest of the show. Like she's still limping even when you see her in the finale.
Yeah.
How long has it been? I don't even know at that point. Like,
Oh, who cares, MauLer? It's all retarded anyway.
Yeah. You convinced us, MauLer. We're never going to watch it.
Yeah, we all hate it now. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you happy that you've turned us against this show that we enjoyed?
Ruined my childhood, MauLer.
I live.
You've killed
hate.
art, MauLer. It's all you do.
It's funny. So I was like, when was the last time you reviewed anything positively? It's like, I did Haunting in Venice, like just recently on EFAB, but no one cares.
My last review was positive.
Exactly.
EFAP doesn't count, MauLer.
All right, fine. Let's review Haunting in Venice on open bar.
It has to be a scripted review, or it doesn't matter.
Oh,
Drinker, can I just ask the panel a question quickly? I just thought of
Yes.
something. Have you guys, I know it's not a
No.
sci-fi thing, but have you guys seen Ripley? The remake of Ripley on Netflix, the black and white version. I just
Oh,
wondered
the
if any-
talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah, but it's just
It's
called
Ripley.
Ripley.
No, I have
yeah,
not.
and it's black and white. Okay, we're just curious to know if people liked it or not. But there's that's a discussion for another time.
Oh, there's something much better coming out tonight. Rebel Moon Part 2.
Oh my God.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can't
And
wait to watch
Are you
that.
off to see that, Gary, after the stream? Are you stressed down there?
America Rules. We get Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare before you
please be
guys.
good. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good.
Yeah, fucking rub it in, why don't you? Actually,
Dude,
on that subject,
that is a really bizarre decision. Okay. Like it's a British story, but let's release it in America first. Okay.
America pays lots of money, I suppose.
America first. There you go.
Yeah. But on that subject, actually, Gary, I know you said you only had like 2.5 hours, so I'm pretty sure we're right at the limits of your endurance for this. And I know you have to go off and see
Rebel
Ministry
Moon
of
2.
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
I'm going to see them both. Well, Rebel Moon, the first one got that special release time at like 9 p.m. my time the day before. They didn't do it with this one. They're dropping at 2 a.m.
Is it still Netflix, or is it's not just
It's Netflix, yeah.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to watch
Oh
that.
boy, yeah.
didn't he
it'll
say he
probably
wants 6 movies or something? He's going to keep like 2 trilogies he was going for.
he was.
And they're all going to be 12 hours long each.
It's they said 6 movies in a new kind of trilogy. Now you can do the
What the
funky
hell does
math
that
on
mean?
that. I think it means 3 movies that are cut into 2 that will technically be a trilogy, but it's the world's
6
first
half
6-part
movies.
trilogy. Yeah.
It's like when you go to a pretentious restaurant that serves burgers, but like they're deconstructed on a fucking like shoe or something. Like, we do things a little differently around here.
And you know the director's cuts are like different. There's different lines and they take place in an alternate universe from the original.
What? Roger Corman made the same story in 80 minutes and it was more fun and entertaining. That's what I'm
Yes.
gonna say.
He's a better
Beyond the
filmmaker.
Stars.
That was a great movie. I would
That's
fucking watch that
Fantastic
like
Four
3
movie.
times over rather than
I
Rebel Moon.
love one of the best scores James Horner's ever done, and it's his first as well.
And it had Sybil Danning in it, wearing very little clothes.
At a very
So,
provocative angle, Drinker. Yeah.
yeah. But yes, anyway, Gary, I know you have to go see that stuff, and I know you might be like out of time, but I want to say, sir, thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. Man.
Thanks for having me on for that extensive Fallout discussion and Warhammer 2 subjects I know so much about.
It's good
No,
to see you,
hey,
Gary.
no, it was great talking to you guys. Hail to the chat. And until next time, see you.
I'll see
Thanks,
you
man.
tomorrow.
See you
right?
tomorrow, MauLer, on Friday
Oh,
Night Tights.
boy, and the day
And the
after.
day after on EFAP.
Woohoo!
And way too much. People are going to start to talk, dude.
They're gonna
Just
start
saying.
talking.
This is getting almost sexual.
Yeah, it's getting weird. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
See ya.
You
All
know
right,
that
should we-
ministry, I was to say the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, they always go, it's a true story. And then you go, yeah, there was a World War II. Then nothing else is true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
kind of like
I
how
know Damon
Inglorious
Lewis.
Bastards is a true story.
Based
sort
on
of.
true
Hitler died in
events.
the theater.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I
Who
know
are we to
Damon-
argue how they
Damon
got
Lewis,
there?
Who wrote the book? I know him really well. Yeah, the resemblance from the film to the book is, leaves a lot to interpretation. Let's put it like that.
Shall we do a few super chats to finish up the evening?
Yes, let's do them.
All right, let's see. I'm just going to go through them in chronological order. So the first one is from Metal Face Rosie. You're at karaoke. You're very drunk. They only have pop songs on the machine. What song do you sing with passionate sincerity? It's a question for the whole panel, I suppose. I'm going to Huey Lewis and News, The Power of Love.
You too, with or without you.
Do you say all songs were available?
Yeah, pop songs.
Pop songs,
Pop
Mauler.
songs.
Pop songs before your
I
time.
don't know pop songs. What's
What do the kids listen to these
I want to
Yeah,
see Mauler sing a song from Dirty Dancing. Hungry Eyes, Mauler. That's your song.
I'll sing. What's that one? I came in like a wrecking ball. That one, Miley. So that's a pop song. It'll be great.
That was a song
Yeah.
which was popular.
There you go. I have completed the task.
Well done, Moore.
Poker face. Someone says in
Fuck.
chat.
All right. Mega Spidey Man. What Batman or villains would Spider-Man most struggle with, and why? What film Batman and Joker have the best dynamic? I feel like we've been asked the same question like
Yeah, sounds
every other
familiar.
bar. I'm going to
Yeah,
ignore
man.
the first one because we've answered that like multiple times already. But the
Adam West
Batman
movie. That's my answer to that.
Well, when it comes to the dynamic between the Joker and Batman, which was the best movie-wise?
I mean, so just to be clear, it's going to be Nolan's versus Burton's versus the TV show versus the animated show.
And versus the whatever the Batman was.
Joker.
Well, yeah, because Joker does have a cameo. And was that a deleted scene in the Batman?
It was deleted scene, yeah.
Yeah,
Put
so I
on
guess it
YouTube
doesn't
the
count.
next day.
Okay, yeah, so we can leave that one out.
Joker in Mask of Phantasm, I would probably go for.
Yeah, I mean, because I was going to say, I don't know if we include the games, but the Hamill Joker versus Conroy Batman, I probably would go toward that myself.
My favorite was the Zack Snyder Justice League, Jared Leto and Ben Affleck Batman in the future.
Are you sure?
It was fantastic, filled with so much meaning and gravitas. Loved
Drinker,
it.
how many
All he said
happy
was-
pills have you had today? What's going on?
My soul.
No, I think in retrospect, I really like the dynamic between the Tim Burton Batman and Jack Nicholson's version.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, fair.
Nicholson was on another level. He was good.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I know it's controversial, like him being like the replacement for Joe Chill, I think, that killed Bruce Wayne's parents, but
those ones are definitely controversial for like. I mean, Batman isn't. I mean, I remember Az saying something like this. I don't know if this is the normal take, but that they have not got a correct live action adaptation of Batman yet. We're still waiting.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the take for comic book fans.
But we've had films that are good.
Yeah.
Well, in Nolan films, he kills. They're good, but that's not Batman.
Well, in the Burton films, he kills. In the Nolan films, he kills. In the Batman,
It's an understatement.
I think if you like zoom in on certain scenes in the Batman, you might be able to spot someone who may have died from what he did. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I get it.
Well, he's an idiot. He's not a good detective in the Batman.
No,
I agree.
He's not the world's greatest. He's terrible.
he doesn't spot that the river's about to break into the city, even though there's a leaky dam, down the end of the.
Or that the Riddler is a Redditor.
Yeah. Elsie Le Pen says, in honor of Velma season 2 coming soon, what are the panel's favorite adult animated comedies of all time and recently? Props to whoever says the Venture Brothers.
Recently, I'll go Smiling Friends. I think what's special about Smiling Friends is that it would be considered an adult animated comedy that doesn't rely on like constant swearing or violence or everyone hating each other. It's a show where the main guy's job is they get assigned a person who they have to make smile. That's their job. Like I recommend it. But for all time, I guess South Park, would that count?
I
Yeah.
guess so.
Yeah,
yeah.
Fairly adult humor.
Yeah.
Maybe
Currently,
Adventure Time or Rick and Morty season 1, I guess.
currently television-wise, for me, it would be Big Mouth, which is on Netflix. I just love Maury as a character and all he gets up to.
Is that the
And-
one everyone looks weird?
Yeah, it's,
Like children with giant heads.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one. But the writing in it's really good, and it's definitely not woke. That's for sure. And it takes a lot of risks because it's animation. Feature film wise, Inside Out was one of the best recent ones for me. I'm looking forward.
I would have said Rick and Morty, the earlier ones, are kind of have to boil for me. Then probably South Park.
Yeah.
Some people are saying like, why not Simpsons? This was adult only, right? Does Simpsons count as adult? As
Yeah,
opposed
it's so fucking mainstream and generic now. It's just like,
well,
yeah,
obviously the good parts of it, not the.
I've seen,
No,
I've seen that my choice was not popular.
But if you don't know, Big Mouth is considered like very bad by a lot of people. Like that is okay.
I watch it before I go to bed. It helps me sleep, but I have a good laugh, and then I nod off. So I'm not saying it's super intelligent, brilliant television or anything. But,
well, here's something that we can all probably agree on. Metal Face Rosie says everyone could probably agree that Walton Goggins is great.
yes.
Yeah.
Watch him in The Shield, one of the best television series ever made. And if you want to see good writing, watch that show. They're all on the shelf behind me right there.
It's it was
He
funny.
also suggests watching Justified, apparently.
Yeah, very
Same,
good. And I've got one of the cast of Justified coming on my channel in 2 weeks.
I've seen an uptick in Walton Goggins' appreciation because of Fallout, and I saw someone be like, there was like a viral tweet that was like, the MCU wasted him in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's like that's what the MCU do. They have so many legendary actors come in to play shit roles, and then they're gone.
Oh, it's okay. Like they're not the only ones to waste him. Like the fucking Tomb Raider movie absolutely wasted him as well.
He was in Tomb Raider.
Yes,
One of them,
he
yeah.
was. He
One of the
was like
henchmen.
the
Really small role. MauLer,
was
watch
he-
The Shield. You won't regret it, man. Watch The Shield. You will not regret it.
Oh no, I'm sure. It's just that when you say Tomb Raider movie, do you mean the Angelina Jolie one?
no,
No,
the
no,
Shadow of
okay.
Lycander one.
Sorry,
The one that everyone forgets existed.
for a moment there, I actually legitimately did forget that one existed. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
everyone did.
That's easy to do. That's easy to do.
Next one, Marine Lad says, "My mate Tom, drinker, Velma season 2. I bet you're excited."
Ah.
Yeah,
Are all
I'm
these
thrilled.
super chats- are all these super chats about Velma season 2?
Yeah. Metal Face Rosie says, "What if Kyle MacLachlan convinced David Lynch to star in season 2? That would be amazing."
Be on board with that, yeah.
Michael Brockie says they filmed Godzilla versus Kong where I live, Gold Coast, Australia, and on the beach in Rio, you can see the sign for Surfers Paradise, the most popular beach here. Fair enough. Yeah, nice. He also says, "I made a fat joke and a big-boned girl heard me. She said, 'I think you're fattest,' and I said, 'No, I think you're fattest. Good morning from Australia.'"
That's a
All
Jimmy
right.
Carr joke, but yeah.
Yeah, he says, "You're fascist." And he goes, "No, you're fattest."
Well, he wrote it as just fattest.
Yeah, like,
but,
yeah. But that's the joke, yeah. She says fascist.
Jimmy Dantes says, "Hail Drinker, I completed a fantasy novel recently. Any tips or advice on submitting to literary agents? Also, when are you and MauLer watching Star Trek 6?
Oh yeah. What's
That's a
the
good
plan for that?
That's a good one, MauLer. That's a good one.
We could probably do it on Sunday, actually.
Before or after we do the catch up?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Catch-up
out.
is going to be big. I've got a feeling because we had a lot of super chats.
We had a
coming
lot
in
of
this week.
messages tonight. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, as far as advice for submitting to literary agents, yeah, treat it as almost like a job interview. So the cover letter that you send, keep it short, direct, and to the point. Like, don't try
Very
and make it
short.
all flowery and be cute or whatever. Like, the literary agents see like fucking hundreds of these things every week. So yeah, try and get to the point quickly and like put all your effort into your first few chapters because that's all they're going to read. Realistically, they'll read the first chapter of your book, and if they don't like what they see, they're going to ditch you.
First 5 pages as well. Absolutely spot on. No spelling errors, grammatical.
Yes.
Proofread it to bits. And and research the publisher as well. Make sure that they don't represent somebody already that's doing exactly this kind of stuff you're writing, because they probably won't take you on because they'll have that person already.
Oh yeah.
So another tip for you there.
Metal Face Rosie says, I've been watching Veep and really enjoying it. It's from the creator of The Thick of It and The Death of Stalin. Yes, and Veep is
I quite
excellent.
Like it. Yeah, it's quite good, quite fun.
Good show. Some of the best rants and just insults generally that I've seen in TV. It's fantastic. Death of Stalin as well. If you haven't seen that,
that's
brilliant movie.
I watched semi recently. Very, very fun.
I think Zukov is like my fucking hero.
Yeah,
so funny.
I love that funeral bit where he goes straight places with me, and then he just tries to move in front of him, and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he moves back. I love how serious it gets at the end, though.
Yeah,
Like it's to remind you that these people are monsters.
It very much wants to make a very strong point by the time you get to the end of that film, and kind of sneaks up on you a little bit because everything's been so much fun.
What is bonkers as well is like you're watching it thinking, okay, this is a great parody of like real events, and then if you actually bother to look it up, no, this shit actually happened, pretty much as described in the film. That's how insane Soviet Russia was back then.
When they all find Stalin and they all go, "Sorry, are we late?" And he run in the room and they go, "Oh no, it's Stalin!" You all have to do the big theatrics.
One day there'll be a film called The Death of Putin, and it will be very similar, I reckon. But
I would imagine so, yeah.
And if anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident, because I said that. Make sure you research it thoroughly.
Canada Plus says, "Hail panel, I wanted to spend $130 on Star Wars Outlaws, but alas, I'm a white man and the game director hates white men. What should I do?" Or just don't buy it. I would say save yourself that money and spend it on strippers.
Have you seen the actress? How ugly the character is compared to the voice actress.
Oh yeah, it's baffling. Like, because she's beautiful.
Yeah. So you have to hire artists to modelers to go, listen, can you just ugly her up a bit?
Yeah.
Because you scan her face.
But I mean, it doesn't even bear a vague resemblance to her actual real face. So it's like they I guess captured her motion and then they had a completely different character model for it. But anyone's guess.
It takes time and energy to make someone that ugly.
Yeah. I think my favorite one was when they compared her character model to Matt Damon from Team America. It's uncanny.
Oh, it's spot on.
Next one is Emilio says, favorite monologue from any media, games, TV shows, movies, whatever you want.
Oh, I've got one. Al Pacino's speech from Scent of a Woman at the end of the movie. That is a fantastic speech. I love it. Use it in my acting classes all the time.
It is really good.
It is, yeah.
I like the Hannibal Lecter when he meets the mayor. And he goes, "Tell me, Catherine, did you breastfeed your daughter?" And he's all creepy.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes,
he's like, toughens the nipples, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love. And he goes, "Cut a man," but it's so nasty as well because he goes, "Cut a man's leg off, and he can still feel a tickle. When your little girl's dead, Mum, where will it tickle you?"
Yeah, that's a brutal one.
Then at the end of it, goes, "Oh, love your suit, by the way."
Yes,
so boss.
I think. Oh, sorry. When you go.
Well, to name like two things that come to mind immediately would be Sam's monologue in Two Towers, and then what Roy Batty says at the end of Blade Runner. Like those two are easy. It's just like they are very effective speeches.
That was the best man speech at my wedding, MauLer. Sam's monologue from the Two Towers.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say "Time to Die."
Yeah.
That came later with the divorce, mate. That was the speech. Yeah. Dickon read that out. Who was on the stream with you two when you first came on my channel, if you remember. That was him that read that speech out. And we even had the music playing in the background at the same time. Cheese, but it was fun.
I think mine might be Al Pacino. Like again for you, his speech from Any Given Sunday to the team, because I really get behind what he's saying as well. Like that life's a game of inches. That the way you succeed, the way you win in things, it's not through huge dramatic gestures. It's like the details, it's the little things, it's all of those things gradually adding up, those opportunities that you take that other people miss, those things that gradually add together to bring you victory or to bring you success or whatever it is you're looking for. I think that's a brilliant way to look at it. And yeah, the way he delivers that speech, the gradual build up, the way the music gradually swells up, it's a brilliant bit of acting, brilliant bit of cinematography. Just all of it comes together nicely. So I like that.
Honorable mention to the speech given at the end of the film to sort of rouse the team from Madam Web, where she really gets everyone in gear and talks about the future. So
it's webbing time.
I would say it's inspiring, and
Funnily
I'll read
enough,
that at my wedding.
I haven't seen that, MauLer, funnily enough, but
you're missing out.
So I've heard.
Quite the experience.
Well, the other one is the Trolls 2. They're eating her. Now they're going to eat me. Oh my God.
It's a great monologue.
And the flies on his head.
Oh, that's amazing. Copa Joubert says, Gary Drinker is in the Fellowship, right? I mean, I'm going to speak for Gary and say, yeah, I am.
He'd say yes for sure, Gary. Yeah.
Fellowship of what?
Just YouTubers.
The Fellowship.
Have you got one of the 9 rings? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we don't talk about it, Lance.
Oh,
We're not supposed to say about it.
He
We've
totally
got to keep
does.
it hidden and keep it safe.
I'm not getting a ring now. That's it.
Shan Wikram Singh says 3 major reasons people looked older for their age than they do now that weren't mentioned last week. Oh God, that was a whole other conversation. 1, drinking. 2, smoking. And 3, too much sun exposure, especially for people with lighter skin. There you go. That's why people looked older back in the day.
4, lack of moisturizer.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
They just went with it. Northern English bastard says, "Damn, Lance, whose ball did you have to fondle to get an open bar? Seriously, hope you're having fun and take care, mate."
That's one of my co-hosts on my channel. He said he was going to send in a rude super chat. There it is.
He also says,
great guy.
"Dear Drinker, MauLer, and guests, I finally finished Fallout. Great show. Some issues with the structure, pacing, and some box ticking, but the cast is great. The humor is twisted, and Goggins rocks like he always does."
Yeah.
He truly does.
In your face, MauLer.
I was about to say
I like how Reaper's just there. Like, yeah, I thought it was great.
I was going to say that to
well, he's a guest. I have to be kind of nice to him.
Yeah, MauLer.
Yeah.
I join up groups. I go, I'm going to bully MauLer so they don't bully me. And then one day, MauLer can bully someone else.
Oh my God. The writing is so good.
It's like poetry, it rhymes. Jesse George says, "Hi, MauLer. I have to know what your thoughts are on Angel Season 5 episode Smile Time. I laughed my ass off."
It's one of the greatest episodes of television. It is absolutely hilarious, subversive in all the best ways. Some of the funniest use of puppets ever. I almost don't want to say any more because if you haven't seen it, watch it in context.
I have to watch all the other seasons to see this.
It's only 11 and a half seasons you have to watch to get to that.
Oh, is that all? Okay.
Easy stuff.
Just that's an afternoon,
For you.
But because I don't think it's as funny if you see it out of context. But Matt, it's a ask Gary for his review of it. I think he loves it even more than I do.
Okay, I don't watch television shows on ×4 speed like some people, but I'll try and get into it.
Is that Angel?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, like, when I was young, because I had so many brothers, they would all watch TV shows. So I watched everything out of sync. So I'd watch like season 4 of Buffy, then season 2 of Sopranos. I never seen a TV show in order.
Oh no, don't want to do that.
In your head, you just have to gradually piece together the story.
Well, the first thing, like Sopranos, I saw was like Ralphie's death, and I went, okay, so I guess he's not a major character. Then I went back because they were all watching the same shows at different times. So season 3, then season 5, then season 1, then season 2 is how I'd watch a show.
Damn.
Well, watch The Shield in order, Reaper, if you haven't seen it yet.
I've learned that. I've learned shows are chronological.
Well, just that's a show you want to watch in order, just because. Sure.
John Gates, this is a 2-parter, says, on episode 6 of Fallout, and while it's mostly been enjoyable, anyone else not liking Maximus's story? Spoilers, but the guy he killed was so stupid, telling him he was going to kill him before getting the stim. Could have given him a more clever moment there. Just one example. Yeah, we agreed, I think.
Yeah,
we all agreed on that one.
But I like the fact that he's annoying, though, because I thought they were going to make him all super cool and good at everything, and I kind of like.
I don't.
went the other way. So
Oh, he annoys me.
I mean, he is
when you watch a
annoying.
show.
But I don't mind. that
I
he's
understand what you
annoying.
mean. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's different.
Yeah.
M8566 says, save lower decks. And I whisper, no.
Did anyone watch it? Like literally anyone on planet Earth watch that show?
I think
Oh,
the same
no.
number of people watched that as watched The Bad Batch.
I have
What
not.
are you? Oh, there's like 3 people that watched The Bad Batch. Me, Ryan, and Theory.
No, I watch Bad Batch.
Oh, there you go.
Am I allowed to? No, I won't.
Are they still
comment.
making Star Trek?
I'm not going to say anything.
Apparently.
I don't want MauLer to bully me.
Maybe.
It's all right. I've heard Bad Batch is apparently. I haven't seen the latest episodes. Apparently, it gets a lot better than. I didn't like the first. I saw the first 4 or 5. I didn't think they were very strong, but
But is it one of those shows that go, you have to watch the last season for it to be good? It only gets good near the end.
it's on season 3 right now, right?
How far are you?
I think it's 4. I think it's season 4, but I might be wrong. Chat will know.
Chat will know.
I've only seen the first couple of eps of the new season, so I'm probably quite far behind everybody else. I quite like it. It's not amazing, but it feels more like Star Wars than a lot of other Star Wars stuff we've got. Let's put it like that.
Is anyone excited for the Acolyte?
I mean, I'm excited to review it.
Me, it'll be funny.
I think the fan
I think the
reaction
leaks
is
are
going to be
true.
amazing.
They said she said she's so great at a lightsaber, because that's the leak. She's so amazing at a lightsaber. She's going to use martial arts on her.
Who's got the floppy like limp dick lightsaber? Like, 'cause that just
The
looks
whip thing?
hilarious.
That was in a
Yeah.
film called Skin Deep, I think. I'm not sure it's in the Acolyte.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, I was joking. There is a film called Skin Deep with luminous lightsabers. Chat will know what I'm talking about.
I can
so-
already tell one Star Wars show is going to have every colored lightsaber in a rainbow pattern move forward.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a row of green, row of blue, and they're all going to go for the pride. And run against Daniel.
You're not even wrong. TGV Monsters asking the big questions here. What is a more evil company, Disney or Umbrella Corporation? Umbrella turns people into horrifying monsters and causes death, but at least they're profitable.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
Umbrella,
true,
and
yeah.
they got a cool logo.
Yeah, and at least they produce productive things that provide entertainment.
And you know what?
So-
Zombies, there's use for that. There's use for that. There's no use for some of the things Disney are making.
Some. I mean, yeah.
I'm with Skynet. It's all going to become real soon. So
I kind of feel like Umbrella is somehow less sinister as well than Disney.
Umbrella, honest.
Yeah. They don't try to hide what they do. M8566. Guys, is it racist if I assume that MauLer is good with a longbow and Drinker is good at caber tossing?
No, that's just fair. It makes sense.
I think that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel
I'm not
aggrieved
offended.
by that.
how far can you toss the caber, Drinker?
Well, catch me on the right day, Lance, and I'll show you.
That's a comeback. Touche.
Yeah. Jordan Pendragon says, I'd like to suggest 12 dozen new film and TV recommendations for you to watch and review, since I'm certain that you're totally deficient in those at the moment. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, pile them in.
I only
just
give
got-
you about 20 a day, so
Yeah, I got nothing but spare time, man. I'm just looking for things to do. So, yeah, let me know. Next up is... I'm just trying to bring this down a little bit, actually. There's too many. Come on, move.
I've still got the Book of Clarence to review.
The Book of Clarence.
Book of Clarence.
It was the BLM movie that came out on February, and it's basically he's Black Jesus, but there's also a Black Jesus in the story. So like
already
the fighting
Okay.
over screen time, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Master of Puppets says, have you seen that the Reacher actor is tanking his career? I mean, yeah, he's gotten outspoken recently. I don't know what's prompted it, but wow, he is not held back.
Well, he's been offered the
Fine.
film, hasn't he?
I
He's
don't-
been offered something.
I was going to say, like, I think this must have been pressure put on him by like either his agent or a studio or whatever, just to prove that he's one of the boys.
Well,
He's
he
in
used
the
to be. you want to be a star, don't you? And then they get the pants off and they go into the room, the casting couch. Now it's, you want to be a star, don't you? Say something about the police.
Yeah.
That's the new thing.
I'm getting flashbacks of Drinker's audition to come on the stream. Can you please not go there? Thank you.
Yeah. Pucker up. He also says, do you think Margot Robbie would be a good Bond girl?
She would.
I mean,
She would. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, she's pretty enough, so yeah.
I think she's
Sure
a good
she managed it.
actress. I think she's pretty. I think she's quite underrated. I think she's a very solid actress.
I mean, whatever else you want to say about Barbie, I think she turned in a good performance, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bond should be female. If you're going to do a female Bond, just do a spin-off franchise, call it 009, set it in the same universe, just call it 009, and you know, have your female secret agent show.
But you know what's interesting? Back in the day, when they did Die Another Day, yeah, it was Die Another Day. They wanted to have a spin-off with Jinx.
Halle Berry, yeah.
Halle Berry would have had a spin-off as like her going on her little adventures, and then maybe she would link up with Bond again. And I thought that's actually kind of a neat idea. I liked Halle Berry.
That went into development. They wrote a script. They wrote more than one, I think. A couple of different writers went on it. I don't know what happened. It just got stuck in development hell, like a lot of films do, as you know. And I think she, you know, went on to other things, and then they thought, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, I think when they ditched Pierce Brosnan as well in favor of Daniel Craig, that was pretty much the end of that anyway, because it was a different universe essentially.
What do you think the next Bond's going to be?
Fucking Tessa Thompson, probably. Where we're going.
Oh God!
I isn't it supposed to be Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I thought that, but that isn't that official now? I think it is official.
Let's see.
And in which case, if it is, I'm not too unhappy about that. I think he's got the swagger, he's got the physicality, and he's young enough, so it could work. And
it's quite good that he hasn't done too many defined roles as a specific thing.
Yeah, he's not
a bit of a blank. He's a bit of a blank canvas. We won't know what to expect, and I think that's a good thing. You know, take a risk on someone a bit more unknown.
John Gates says, for next week, how about playing through 100% on all 16 mainline Final Fantasy games, the first 1,000 episodes of the One Piece anime, and the spin-off Final Fantasies like 10, 2, and The Lightning Returns, if you have time. Thanks, and get to it, gents. Sure,
MauLer,
I can do all
MauLer,
that.
you're up, MauLer. Away you go.
All right, just give me 5 minutes. I'll get all that sorted.
The thing is, MauLer fucking could do that as well.
He'd
be that kind of person who would get all that shit done.
I don't wanna.
This is not making me do things.
Drinker knows better than most people how much I've been working on a particular thing that now has like taken a huge fucking break because it's like you got to do other things. It's like, damn it.
Yeah, now I just piss him off by like giving him like random tasks to do. Like, hey, go and watch this TV show for me, and then totally don't bring it up on open bar. You know, it's fine. And last up was Javiator says. Hello, Drinker and MauLer and Agent Panel. If Elon Musk bought Disney, what might result from that, and what would movies improve or stay the same? Cheers. So, if Elon Musk was to suddenly take possession of Disney, what would get better or worse? Or
like Twitter, there'd be a lot more porn,
which I'm fine with.
I think it would be like the
brightens up my day.
Be like the South Park episode. We get lots of phallic rocket ships going to Mars, and you know, that kind of thing.
I feel like he'd be the guy who would fire like 80% of the staff at Disney, and it would somehow become better, and they would get more done. So, like, maybe he would be necessary. You need someone who's brutal like that.
How do you have 90% of a company that don't work?
Because, like, it happens in any big company. Like, most people do fuck all. There's so many jobs that are completely pointless. It's corporate bloat. It always happens in big organizations.
Just look at all the credits on any of their films. Look at the number of producers, co-producers, associate producers, production managers, all of that. It's like, you know, half of those people don't even need to be there.
Yeah.
And I could tell you some political wrangling that goes on for those people to get those credits, but that's a whole other topic.
Drinker, didn't you tweet on Doctor Who where he was like dancing? He's got a skirt on. And he wants
Yeah.
was it dildos? I can't remember.
Why is he not naked? Like, he's talking about how he wants to twerk a villain into submission or something, and that's how he's
Yep.
going to win. And I was like, cool, perfect. Like, also do it naked and have a giant 18-inch black rubber dildo strapped to your head. You might as well. Because it's such a complete fucking joke of a show. Like, just go the whole hog. I know you want to. Everyone knows you want to. Go for it. Sure. Just humiliate it even more because no one gives a fuck anymore.
Well, Russell T. Davies.
It's a shame because I like him as an actor. You know, in other things he's been very good, but I just treat the franchise with respect. It's the same attitude as the previous one who said, "Oh, I'm not going to watch any of the older shows. I don't need to look at anything." Well, you kind
I
of
hate this idea as well. Like the way they're trying to make the Doctor young and cool, and it's so fucking cringe and depressing.
Yeah, I always liked him when he was older.
I want him to be a fucking like 60-year-old grumpy old man. You know, like that's what the Doctor should be.
Peter Capaldi was a great Doctor. He just had terrible stories.
Scripts. Yeah, terrible scripts, but great Doctor.
But when he had like a half decent one, he was like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame he didn't get a longer tenure, really.
He was up for doing more, but they cut him loose.
Yeah.
Did they? Yeah, they really wanted that Jodie Whittaker fucking Doctor.
What a great casting replacement they came on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it comes out on the same day Doctor Who is Furiosa, which is I don't know about what you think of that. Do you think Furiosa is going to be good?
I saw a new trailer for that actually with Civil War. I guess you guys must have seen that was a brand new.
Yeah, I saw it.
Trailer. I mean, it was better than the previous trailers, but the jury is still very, very much out on that.
I like Anya Taylor-Johnson. I think she's a good actress, and she seems like she's likable. But she's fighting Chris Hemsworth, who's like 3 times the size.
Who's directing it? Is it George Miller that's directed it?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see.
I'm willing to give it a bit of slack just because of the director, because he did a really good job with Fury Road. I like Reaper said, I like Anya Taylor-Joy. I like Chris Hemsworth. Maybe they can make it work. I don't really feel like I want a backstory for Furiosa. I didn't find her that interesting.
Mm.
But we all know what happens.
I think a backstory for Humongous would have been a lot more fun, you know, from Mad Max 2.
The Great Humongous,
Humongous.
And Morton Joe would have been a better one because, like, how does he get so powerful?
Yeah.
Whereas Furiosa is like, oh, I beat Chris Hemsworth, but I'm going to be working for a Morton Joe. So she's quite limited in what she can do.
Yeah. So jury's out, like you say. I mean, I'll keep an open mind with it. Hopefully, they deliver a really good action movie. But
the new trailer did look a lot better than the effect shots. Like, I don't know what they've done with the first trailer, but it just looked like a cartoon. But I don't know if they've regraded it or what they've done with the new trailer. But the effect shots look a lot more believable. And I was like, okay, this looks like a proper movie now. So we'll see.
Well, I'm going to probably finish up there because we've been going for a while now, and I know we're not going to get through all the super chats. But man, you guys you've really piled in tonight with the super chats. Like, you've been super generous, and we've got a ton of them to get through, and we will believe that. But we'll have to do it as a catch-up stream, as we always do. But I want to say thank you for being so generous tonight. Appreciate it. I appreciate everyone in chat coming in to join us for this one tonight. And thank you to my guests as well. Reaper, Lance, Gary, who's no longer with us, tragically. He's gone to a better place, though.
Don't say it like that.
I know.
Drinker, can I plug my big get that I've got coming on the channel?
Absolutely, yes.
I managed to bag a great guest for my next industry interview. They're coming on Friday, the 21st of April at 9 p.m. UK time. So that'll be 4 p.m. East Coast. And that's actor Damon Herriman, who some of you will know as that guy from Justified. He also played Charlie Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's Mr. In-Between's boss. And by the way, Drinker, you've got to watch Mr. In-Between. That is such a good show. MauLer, I think you'll like it as well. Reaper as well. Really good humor, great character arcs, Australian each episode's only half an hour as well. My biggest complaint about that show is the show's too short, you know, but it's so good. The supporting cast are all amazing. He plays like his boss. But yeah, we bagged Damon. He's coming on. And then I've got a director coming on as well that you guys, I think, will have heard of, but I haven't been able to pin down the date with him yet. But he's done a few films that I think you will have seen. And that's Peter Hyams, who's done Outland, Narrow Margin, Running Scared. So yeah, and I don't know what time of day he'll be whenever he's available. So it could be whenever, but Damon's Friday week. So
ask him. I'd love to hear him talk about 2010 because I think that's such an underrated sequel.
It's a great film. I saw it at the cinema, and I was I like it more than 2001, and that's probably heresy to say that, but
yeah,
I just found it a more gripping movie, and I was really invested in the characters, and yeah, I really liked Helen Mirren, and it's John Lithgow, isn't it, in the film as well?
Yeah, he's really good in that.
And
Roy Scheider. Yeah, Roy Scheider.
And in case anybody missed it, Gail Ann Hurd came on my channel a couple of industry interviews back. So if you go on the Ron Underwood interview, who's the guy who directed Tremors, you'll see the surprise guest of that interview was none other than Gail Ann Hurd, producer of Terminator 2, Aliens, few films people might have heard of.
Little movies you might have heard of. You should cut that bit out actually and put it as a separate video.
Do you know what? I should. If I was efficient and ran my YouTube channel properly, like some titans of YouTube, I really would do that sort of thing. I need to get on that. MauLer will bully me and appropriately, and I'll get on it.
I would never, sir. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
No, it is. Joking aside, absolute pleasure to be here. And thanks for having me on as well and letting me plug my stuff. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man.
No
2-year anniversary coming up on 14th of July. So
hey.
for the channel. Yeah.
Still nice. Going. Well, I think we'll finish up there. But for everyone who's joined us tonight, thank you. But that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.